right now. Zac and potentially an AD carry to be locked in here for Asco 99.
So I like this because Leona doesn't have the ability to disengage a Zac. It's not like a Janna Tornado or a Nami Wave or something like that, which can kind of interrupt the Zac mid-jump. You've already shown you have the Leona and the Varus pretty immobile. They don't have ways to get out of the fight so often. So with both between the Zac and the Nautilus and now the Jinx as well, there are lots of ways to blow up this duo which can't get out of the initial engage.
And the mistress of property damage herself in and around. And Vengeance have got to try and take on the roles of the Outlaws this time around, and whether the law and order of Inca Tern can find a way to pick up a second win and clean up this series. Jarvan was banned last time, but Bauer will pick it up this game.
Well, but yeah, and this is one of his more played champions in solo queue. Really good for the engage. Really works with Leona too. Means you again on both sides we have heavy engage. It means that these messy team fights can be started on the drop of a hat. You're gonna hit you. You won't be able to hear anything for like a good solid minute as all the shouts come in from my brother here as well. And we're going through into our second round of bans. Looks like this Victor was just a little bit too problematic for Lost and Broken. It survived the laning phase, scaled up, and it meant that the gravity field was so important in this team fight.
There were so many gravity fields that kept people frozen in place during the middle of a pretty noxious storm. Renekton has been taken away, but there's this last ban for Inca Tern. Have to see what they think about potentially another top lane if they've already focused. The Renekton wouldn't be a surprise.
They banned out the Ornn last time,
It
so
will make
banned
sense.
once more.
So strong. Just like fits into most team comps, plays pretty well in lane. We've seen 1v2s, v3s on Ornn despite him being a tank. Like, that champion is so damn strong.
Yeah, and the thing about Creon King is that he was doing pretty well on the Aatrox, and early into the game particularly, I praised him for setting up the lane very well to gank Hodgson on the Mundo, but the Mundo just kind of survived after that point and then just became a bit unmovable in the side lanes, so that's going to be banned away as well.
Yeah, it is, and where he pleases to go is in fact the band. That's where he wants to go, and
was that of his own choice though?
Who knows? Maybe he was convinced. LeBlanc locked in for Radiant Platypus, though.
So we saw the Victor last game, which is not typically what it's not one of the AP assassins which Radiant Platypus has all over his OPGG. Of course, the Fizz is his most played by quite a long way. But the LeBlanc is a second place to finish there as well. So it's very good in a blind pick most of the time too. So unless there's a specific counter pick from Lost and Broken, this LeBlanc is a pretty high value pick in most draft phases.
There might not be the troll pole available for, of course, the LeBlanc. She does have some trickery of her own to pull out with the distortion shenanigans you can pull off, as I believe I just saw Rammus locked in.
So I don't know whether that's actually a proxy pick.
Might well be a proxy pick. We'll find out, and if that is the case, we'll probably leave draft briefly to return and pick
rebuild,
up the pick.
Restart. We have the technology.
There is still room for it to be a legit pick, though. Of course, Zac is flexible towards the top side and could actually end up being a Rammus jungle,
or a Zac top lane Rammus jungle.
That's what I was talking about.
And it's not going to be that because the Aatrox is locked in, probably going towards Creon King again. He had a good game on this pick. My only problem was he kind of ended up teleporting after the team fights were already over. That was just the way that the game works out. The amount of burst coming out from Inca Tern in game one was high enough that the teleport just wasn't there in time.
Yeah, and we've got, aside from the problems with teleports and burst, we've got a last pick and what's likely a top laner to pick up here. And Hodgson goes towards the nemesis, really, of LeBlanc in the Mordekaiser. A bit of lore anti-synergy there.
I actually didn't know that about Mordekaiser. So what's up between those two?
So I believe LeBlanc imprisoned Mordekaiser years ago when she was around when the Iron Revenant was like a true tyrant. So,
cool.
Mordekaiser and LeBlanc are quite antagonistic, apparently. It's been a while since it's been over that long,
so they haven't dropped out of Champion Select.
That's a Rammus.
That is a Rammus.
Okay.
This is a Rammus mid.
It is a Rammus mid, and that's just okay with me. I just hope it's French Rammus. Anybody who's heard French Rammus could be truly terrified.
Yeah, look up YouTube. Find French Rammus. It's worth your
psychopathic
time.
Is what it is. It's sort of like
imagine that rolling at you and just saying, "Wee."
Exactly. Imagine it's sort of like if a Dementor decided it was cultured.
Okay, so we'll stand by that. Also, guys, by the way, if you have any favorite moments during these games, please, please try and clip them. It's very fun for us and very good for us as the Valence League as well as an
We want that
organization.
content.
It gives us content. It means we can spam it on social media, but this time we'll have you clipping it. So you're gonna be
You
somewhat
can
attached to
be
the content.
involved.
You too can be a hero.
You could join in the Division 4 action here with Ramos mid lanes. Can you imagine the outplays that are about to occur?
Yeah.
I need Lost and Broken to prove himself to be on this pick because I am so excited.
And the really dangerous thing is this is such a one-threat comp from Vengeance. As much as the Aatrox can hold his own in some of the team fights, we saw what happens if the team fight's already over and the Aatrox is tanking up, 4 people instead of 2 or 1. And it just means that the Aatrox just can't survive through the later start parts of the team fights. And the dangerous thing about that is look at the target accessibility from Inca Tern. So if you have a one-threat team comp and ways to get onto the one threat, it's going to fall apart very quickly if that Jinx dies.
So, if that Jinx ends up in a Death Realm, she's in trouble. If a Solar Flare lands, she's in trouble. If there's a Corrupting Arrow or Chains of Corruption, rather, is a better way of phrasing that. Similar idea. If LeBlanc decides that that Jinx is going to be double distorted, there could be some issues. However, we have got a lot of CC. The bounce house and the taunts are so real from Vengeance. And if that Jinx stays safe, there is room for the Varus to be taunted into rockets, into doom.
Yeah. And one of the things for me is that actually Rammus will want to tank up Varus. Doesn't particularly want to tank up the Mordekaiser because so much of his damage does come from abilities and his AoE passive as well, which means that you don't get to turn around as much damage onto the Mordekaiser as you would do some other kind of pick. So if you do end up having the Rammus diving in too deep and then has to kind of tank off Hodgson as well, could end up pretty badly.
I'm going to need to admit something here.
Okay,
I don't really remember all of Varus's abilities right now. It's been some time since I've considered the champion.
There's
Powerball, that's the one I remember. And there's a taunt.
And then there's
the blades.
And then its ultimate is it's not Tremors. You know I'm going to Google it.
Oh, yeah, I think we're going to have to quickly because this is the point we've hit. Anybody knows? Spam it in chat.
Abilities. It's just going to say okay, isn't it?
It's just going to say okay over and over.
No, that's Ram's guide. Well, we'll see if Mobifire can be our
Mobifire.
A fire
An
to light
unlikely
the dark.
savior.
It might also just be a bad savior too. I sure my magic penetration reputation build from Mobify. This is what I want to. Next game, I want to see this. It says Powerball, defensive ball curl, frenzying taunt, and tremors. Did I get tremors?
You
right?
did.
Hey,
I would, there is a handshake for the color cast there on that one.
I love it.
So there you go. It looking like a QWE max on that Rammus.
So this this could either be a Predator Rammus where you just run bot lane very quickly. You are Sonic the Hedgehog cosplay. Or it's going to be the Aftershock where you try and taunt someone and then just survive for forever.
All right, I don't know whether we're legally allowed to, but we're about to go into a bit of a break during the loading screen. You'll get some highlight reels and we'll queue up the Green Hill theme. See you in a moment. Keep us in the loop. We'll act as though it's concurrent.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Well, we are back on the Rift after a little bit of drama, which we may have to get into a touch later because there is a level 1 going on here. Hodgson's about to find a very angry Nautilus is going to be looking for a Dragon. It lands. That's going to put the Mordekaiser in trouble. That's a lot of Dark Abilities flashed, but so has Aatrox. First blood over to the Zac.
First blood over to the Zac. So at least it's the E start from the Zac, which is not the best thing ever, but you can start any number of things. Because on your first camp, of course, you're going to hit level 2, and a lot of gold now over to the Zac. If he gets to recall, he gets himself a Ruby Crystal to start this first clear.
Yes, and a little bit of an update from production from the teams. That Rammus pick wasn't an intentional pick. Problem was that the team, as far as we know, of course, of Vengeance, did not inform production and officials till too late, and that means they are going to be playing this game with the Rammus pick in-game, and it's unfortunate for them, but that's just the way things are at this point in time.
So effectively, if you want to pick something which you don't own, or you want to pick something which is different from, you know, something you can lock in, you can inform the team and you can use it as a proxy pick. You can remake the lobby and then lock in the correct pick later. That didn't happen, so that means that the Rammus does have to be played by Lost and Broken now, and he's taken his runes from the last game, so that's a Dark Harvest Rammus, which is not the Predator, it's not the Aftershock. It's a whole lot of strange.
Yep, so the answer is not okay right now for Lost and Broken on the Rammus, but we'll have to see how he does. He was at least, I was going to say involved in that first kill, but didn't even manage to get involved there, and that's difficult. And Vengeance already being down 1-0, that just can't feel good.
It doesn't feel good, and now you have to play around a mid 2v2 of Rammus Zac, which is not the most
They just need to roam, is basically what you've got to do.
They roam, because at least you have a lot of CC, but you don't have much damage, right? The LeBlanc can definitely get away with this double distortion using chains as well, which means that Raging Platypus should have priority over this lane for most of the game.
Yeah, and that's difficult. It is what it is, but we saw what Raging Platypus did in the last game, and he's got to be licking his lips with the prospect of being able to get some roams off early on the LeBlanc.
Exactly, yeah, and, you know, has the Electrocute, of course, not having to deal with something like something as awkward as the Dark Harvest, which can be pretty nasty in, yeah, the Dark Harvest just can be so hard to play around within these kind of roams, because it's good if you're a jungler. And speaking of junglers, Jom's top.
He didn't hit the flag and drag, but forced the step forwards. That Death's Grasp also just missing. Those forward steps from Creon King coming in clutch.
Yeah, well played there. So the flag and drag not coming in clutch at that point. Creon King using the using the basic movement to get out there.
Yeah, of course, remember, both top players don't have flash after the level 1 debacle, so that could have been a very dead Aatrox, especially being a level down on the Jarvan with red buff.
So I almost wonder if the flash should have been committed there and chained into the Death's Grasp, because it would have been enough CC probably to get net themselves the kill. But of course, with the Umbral Dash available, would have been maybe a little bit harder. This Rammus is suffering in the mid lane, at least being able to pick up a bit of CS. The Distortion is currently on cooldown. This could be a gank into the mid lane.
Gotta be careful. Here comes Zac, gonna land. That's up. That's a lot of damage. Flash in, but flash out from Raging Platypus.
Oh, this could be dangerous. It could be a Nightburn.
No, not going to get there. Oh, wait, no, gone for it. It's going to get the Ignite kill. You called it. And here comes Power and the boom, potentially. Ignite is not there, of course, but the red buff is. That's the other burning ability I was thinking about. But isn't enough to secure the passive kill on Xiao.
So, unfortunate mid lane turns into even worse situation. You know, was the mistaken Rammus pick. At least manages to pick himself up a Doran's shield on that back. But he's going to be stuck under his turret for the majority of this game. He can't take extended trades versus the LeBlanc. You're normally looking for the Powerball into a bit more extended kind of damage there when you've got your defensive power curl on, and you have the taunt to make them auto attack you and take that pseudo thornmail damage.
Yeah, well, if he can channel his inner Sonic, maybe there's some room for Lost and Broken to make some plays. Yeah, but this is going to be rough. I don't know whether he's put much time into Rammus. I doubt it. And that does.
Let's be honest. Who does?
That is people who just enjoy the word okay, or are in love with psychopathic French dementors.
Yes, I'd completely forgotten we'd reference that, and that is still one of the better things you sell in cast.
It's true, but like genuinely, go YouTube it. It's horrifying.
Yes, if you're a fan of Vengeance, and you don't want to see this early game, which is going a bit awkward, go watch French Rammus voice instead.
Yeah, because that is the sound of a vengeance-driven Rammus. It's French Rammus. So
it haunts my dreams.
It does.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah. In no way has that caused psychological distress.
Like I needed to share it because I can't deal with this alone. More trade in the mid lane. Here comes Xiara again. The taunt was pretty good. But it's just a little late.
Yeah, and the Q just misses the minion there. Of course, the taunt, I think the taunt was actually obviously channeled mid-air there from the LeBlanc distortion. The taunt doesn't cancel dashes, it's not a displacement. So it would have meant that the Zaki would have had to land and hit the minion instead.
There is potentially room there for a bit of outplay now with Theory crafting it that if Raging Platypus goes in for a distort trade and the taunt is sharp, there is room to keep LeBlanc in place.
Yeah, it's the fallacy of
level 6 advantage.
I don't think this is going to lead to much focus because the World Ender was propped there just for a potential turnaround. Level 6 not hit from the Mordekaiser yet, thankfully, for Creon King. Means that there was no follow-up available there. But yeah, basically, the LeBlanc without Flash, and without having Ultimate at that point as well, you have this kind of, I said fallacy, right? Where, like, you want to push in and abuse your advantage because you know you're strong. You know you're trading really well, but you do it without vision, and Flash straight in the bot lane as I'm talking about.
Yeah, with Bow Wow waiting in the bush, it would have been difficult. Asco99 burns the Flash. Rightfully so, I feel he would have been in a very sticky situation if he'd stuck around.
Yeah, and of course we were saying, you know, this
still
is
here.
the follow around again.
Here comes the Chilling Smite. The knockup wasn't there. The heal goes down. That is going to be a stun now onto Sheriff Thrun. He's going back around, though. They feel like they can turn this, maybe.
Well, he was dragged into the traps, but then, of course, the W active Leona is so very tanky, of course, the Aftrox as well. Powerball in the mid lane. Of course, that's one thing you can do. You can instantly channel the Powerball there to maybe cancel the distortion. Might be some outplay available. I'm just trying to think through the micro matchup of LeBlanc versus Rammus. Because if you distort onto a Rammus that's powerballing, it should cancel the distortion by my eyes.
And then if you can taunt as well.
And then you taunt after, you can actually take some pretty good trades.
Yeah, and if the Zax's run, there is potentially room for a little outplay there then.
So basically,
we'll have to see.
Quick fingers on the Powerball key, on the Q key. Maybe you can turn around some of these trades. That's what I'm thinking.
So that's what we're thinking. We don't know how it actually works in practice. We saw a hint of what the Frenzy taunt could do. And as long as Rammus can get himself up to early Merc trades, I think he'll be harder to at least blow up in single rotation here.
He's
already got...
unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. He just needs to get a little bit of wave clear, perhaps, what he's thinking. But
well, at least he's getting the XP, not being denied out of too much right now. And you can Powerball back to lane, something you can do. But without the Predator, which would have been...
the go-to.
The go-to, I think, from it. Like, so I actually have seen mid-lane Rammus before in some cases. Actually, going to be the gank mid-lane again.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Powerball hits the minions.
It did, unfortunately. The hitbox on that is something that takes just a little practice to get used to. And thus far, Shiora has kind of
we say this
shielded the Rammus, but it's...
We say this as neither of us are Rammus players.
No, exactly. There is some serious theory crafting on the fly going on here, so we could well be off base, but this is our professional opinions as best as it can be.
Like, what do I know about Rammus? He's spicy okay, man.
Townstone, and that's chain landed as well. That's going to be a Zac coming in, though. Second chain lands, and that'll be a second kill for Raging Platypus, and the rage will continue. The smite is down, but that's going to be a walk out with the damage going on to the clone.
Yeah. Attack of the Clones. That's
indeed. And
some would say the best Star Wars movie.
And indeed, some possibly wrong there, though I will say Ewan McGregor is a lot of fun in that, and I love the Coruscant face.
It's not the best movie. It's fun.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Like,
the Django Fett seismic charge is one of my favourite sound effects of all time. So
Teleport, also a mighty cool sound effect right now.
Yeah, Cataclysm is a mighty cool ability, as is a Zenith Blade, as is a Chains of Corruption, but no follow-up there. Good kill in the bot side, good chain into stuff, and this is looking a little bit like a Whitewash Chimera.
Well, this is the thing, right? My caveat was, well, if the Jinx is okay in this game and the bot lane's doing well, then at least you have a strong pick to stop healing for with this oddball mid lane pick. With the 2v2 dying, and, you know, the Nort's going down, it means that the Jinx is missing some farm, missing out some XP potentially as well. It's not looking great.
You can see there's an attempt potentially going in. Bowers come over the wall. That means there's
no
smite
on the traps.
But of course, they just jump straight back in. Does Shiaro, who's now entering a bit of a difficult spot. Maybe Bowers being slowed down, does flag and drag out. Bit of a messy disengage as a powerballs into the river, but there's no Predator for any real speed up. That was a super mega death rocket.
Well, that's what I was wondering, right?
Close to claiming some lives.
That's what I was saying. Like, maybe you could get excited for Jinx to start running forward a bit more. There are a lot of flashes available, and a lot of the cooldowns used on the red team of Inca Tern here might have meant you could get a Jinx snowball there. Didn't end up leading to anything, so the attempted flyby steal from Zac didn't go as planned, and going back to the low state.
Yeah, I will also comment that Creon King had a lot of time uninterrupted on that tower. Gets 3 plates for that, and he's got a 40 CS lead. That is a huge part of the fact that actually Vengeance have a gold lead right now.
They do, and it is 1,300 gold to the advantage of Creon King. This guy was really doing well in the early game in the last game, but of course it was against a very nullifying pick of the Mundo who just eventually managed to survive in the side lane. I'm not sure Mordekaiser can do the same as a Mundo, and Aatrox will be coming into these team fights pretty beefy.
I don't think Hodgson is going to want to put that Aatrox into the death chamber, because what is death to the end of the world? That Aatrox is monumentally strong
he is
off the amount of time he got alone up in that lane.
I mean, Aatrox has one of my favorite quotes in League. I am not an enemy, I am the enemy. And he is a public enemy #1 this game. Never mind what ender of worlds. He's going across all eras of time, going into, you know, the John Dillinger channeling there. And so, yeah, there are a lot of abilities here for Creon King to perhaps carry himself a couple of team fights. It's not like you're playing against a Chaos Storm Gravity Field zoning combo from the mid laner. You don't have yourself a Kai'Sa that can dive onto your backline as well. Potentially, this Aatrox can run around a couple of these team fights.
Yeah, so there is a win condition in for Vengeance despite their unfortunate mid lane pick. Raging Platypus, though, is doing really well, and the bot lane as well is looking good. Chains of Corrupted Land. Akko 99 has managed to get his way out. That is useful, but LeBlanc across the wall. Double distortion is a thing. She just throws a Q, gets the kill, flicks right back out.
And the
third kill.
The dub staff ignite.
It was.
It's just like, he jumps over the tower, bow wow, and then that's just Jinx dead.
Jinx is dead, and the win condition for Inca Tern, it's not a bird, but it's the bird beast egg-laying animal, as Hodgson gets slapped in the top side. That was a rough series of combos for the Mordekaiser to deal with.
And this is a Aatrox with only a Cinderhold. This, not Cinderhold, sorry, this is the Kindle Gem. It's another thing which sounds kind of similar with the same amount of thingies.
Yes.
Syllables. Those
Syllables.
are the words.
They're not the words. They're the
things which make up the words.
Indeed.
Yeah, cool. And
The
now,
ingredients to
now
words.
the really dangerous thing is this is a Aatrox who's getting first blood tower. He's getting himself
fourth plate.
It's going to be his fourth plate, probably going to get his fifth as well. Look at the size of that lane. There's no teleport
Oh my
there to
days.
answer as well. He's not even going to back up. Yeah, he will get solo first tower. Actually, 100% solo as well. It's not like the jungler had anything to say about in that top lane. And this is before, he also has teleport still. So I said that I said that in a roundabout way. Basically, he has a really large lead. He can teleport into the next fight with that large lead. Look out for some big team fights.
Yeah, and that is going to be coming up likely in a minute 30 if LeBlanc doesn't have anything to say about it, because there is the other win condition for Inca Tern. Death Realm is here. First turret's down. That means the turnaround can begin. The World Ender is popped.
The Inca turnaround.
We're going to see this Blood Moon Aatrox show what's rising in the sky. Vengeance will be Aatrox's. He's going to find a lot of damage. Flash in, flash out. But the surviving Mordekaiser finds his way to relatively
his top
safety.
lane. This could be a kill onto
So's
Creon.
Leona, so's LeBlanc. This could be trouble. It'll be a 2 versus 3. They might look and try and turn it around. There is the stretching strike. But actually, Creon King is so low. I think he took a tower shot or something. But
Oh my God!
days, the damage is huge. Let's bounce finds the bounce house. And it's still a 2 versus 3. It's going to be trouble up here. Creon King finally goes down, and Shiara is in a difficult spot. No flash. Might have to try and find a way out with the elastic slingshot, but I don't think there's going to be a way to go. It's 4-0 for LeBlanc. I think it might be a 5th. Macman.
Wait, they backed off.
They did back off. There was something else going on. Who knows?
No, is that a disconnect from Platypus? I'm not even too sure. He's still under
just
the
a
tower.
tower.
And this means that Zack's actually alive again.
He's
There's
gonna
going to be a
try to turn this
teleport from
around.
Zack in like a couple of seconds. He's got blobs to pick up too.
He's going to be healthy. I don't know what was going on there. He's gone back
Flash.
to base.
Oh my God, that is so very unfortunate right there. The 4-kill LeBlanc not able to pick up another one there. Maybe it was a disconnect. Maybe it was just a miscommunication. Hook lands on the Varus.
No, Leona, she was in the top side. Varus is here. The taunts are huge. The heal's been burned, but they don't quite have the damage. Oh, the flash powerball didn't quite work out. Sanverte picks up his second kill of the game. 2-0-2. Oh, clutch flash.
It was indeed. So that would have been quite nice if it was in the CC combo. Even through the Ignite there. Actually, no, it wasn't Ignite. It was Dark Harvest. And that's why it was so important. The heal saves the Varus very, very thin margins there. And what that means is 2-0-2 on the Varus. Blade of the Ruin King is now picked up for Sanverte.
And that is a neon green Varus who is all go in this game. We've talked a lot about Raging Platypus, 4-0, at a very strong point, stacking up that Dark Seal, has got a Luden's Echo, I apologize. And this Varus now, 2-0-2. We saw what Sanvete could do with the lead in the last game.
Yeah, for sure. But then you've got a 3,000 gold lead between top lanes.
Oh, it's
He
going
is
to be 2
walking in
versus
1v3
1. He's
though.
got an Ignite, and that's going to stop the healing a lot. Gets knocked up. Going to get knocked down as well, potentially. It's a lot of healing, though. We've seen the flashbang from Raging Platypus. Powerball is here. He's healing a lot. but Bauer does get out alongside Raging Platypus. But that
Okay.
1v2
Yeah.
was closer than I anticipated.
Well, forced out the Ignite and the Flash from the LeBlanc, but we do see that even when you're super ahead, you can't go 1v3. Maybe when you have a death stance. Maybe at that point, you can start something like that. It was what he was trying to scout out the Herald. Actually, this is a Flash this duo on the bot lane, which could get killed.
Oh, there's the depth charge. There's the stretching strikes. We've seen the Zenith Blade come out. The Zap missed, but Jinx, I'm sure, has damage. There's no heal to shut you down this time. Zac picks up the kill. Gonna see him try and get enough damage. Powerball for the dive. The taunt is here as well. They need to drop the tower aggro though, because that's lost and broken. The heal! Yes, he gets out! That's kill participation, and that's a good dive.
Hey, the Rammers did something. I mean, the most unlikely of subjects. It's going to be kills onto the bot lane of Inca Tern. Gold going the way of the Jinx, which is much needed, but it will be a tower traded in the mid lane, however. Vengeance will lose their mid lane outer turret, and that will be going over towards the LeBlanc.
Yeah, but the continued shove for a tier 2 won't be allowed because Creon King was there. Hodgson, though, gets some time alone on this top side. We're getting a little bit of pressure onto that tower.
Yeah.
Can't claim it, though.
I mean, this was a 60 CS lead for the Mordekaiser, but the last death was kind of bad because it means that this Mordekaiser does get himself slightly back into the game. He can't win the 1v1 right now. Just the item advantage is far too large. He's going towards what looks to be either a Rylai's or Leandries with that build. I don't think he'll be going. He could also be going for the Morelnomicon. There's a fair amount of healing on the side of Vengeance here. We've got Hodgson. Either way, he hasn't completed his first item yet, and he'll be sorely wanting that for the next team fight.
Yeah, I know the ability's gone, but it is feeling a little bit like Hodgson's in the Mace of Spades problem, because he looks like he was born to lose in this matchup right now, but at least he's got that Rylai's staff up there, and the Motorhead puns will have to wait till later in the cast. We're going to see another bit of weird support flexing around the wards in this bush, but that'll be about it.
See, the thing is, with the Rylai's on...
Chain Corruption. And that was a good route, though. The distortion was stopped. That's a good use of the depth charge to try and keep people safe, but it's still not enough. Sanvetti has the damage to pick up so much CC. Hodgson, though, was indeed born to lose, because that's the way Creon King likes it, baby. He didn't want to make sure that Mordekaiser was living forever. He's going to be taken down on the top side. Xiao's going to try and find a slide by. Not this time.
I love that move from Zac so much. Yeah, so we see that even with the Rylai's, Hodgson can't disengage from the Aatrox, had himself a World Ender without the Flash, and actually the Flash was just coming up now as he's died. This Mordekaiser just can't survive in the side lane.
He really can't, and Death Realm is looking more like home sweet home right now. It's a difficult space for Hodgson.
Yeah. It's in a team fight. Oh, thank God, I can 1v1 someone. That's not the Aatrox.
Come here, Rammus.
Rammus, please, save me. And I had to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Rylai's and Mordekaiser. I get the idea. It's trying to disengage from the Aatrox. But I think at this point, you can't disengage with the amount of CDR that the Aatrox has. The World Ender at
Proto Belt just for a bit more mobility?
I would have said Rylai's. I think Rylai's gives you a bit extra chance of outplaying under a turret.
He's got something
like that. No, the Leandris.
That's the one. I was thinking, I was really confused.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I really hate this item. But that same item is really good, by the way, guys. No, it's not that.
Color casters are blind. They're also mildly illiterate. It's a well-known fact.
I don't know what I'm here for, you know.
No, I don't.
I'm here to sound cynical. That's it. That is my job. I am the cynic.
Yeah, that's it. Well, cynic aside, the cynicism has been thrown the way of the Rylai's. There's been despair at the Rammus pick that at least found a good dive the second time of asking.
Yeah.
There is still the question mark of what do Vengeance do about this phenomenally strong LeBlanc with the Oblivion all picked up and Varus who's got himself an Executioner's Calling and on its way to a Rage Blade.
You're sick Rammus. Full MR.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
That's probably not an awful thing.
Not
The fact is, if Varus ends up being powerballed and taunted for miles on end, he could be in serious issues.
Well, I think that if Nautilus and Rammus stand on top of the Jinx and the LeBlanc jumps in, you can get yourself a first kill and then start trying to fight around that. I think that's the way you do it, because I think Jinx does have a lot of damage, has the Infinity Edge first, going towards, it's going to be a jump onto mid lane.
Yeah, and now Kiss says,
doesn't have the store.
The Powerball is here, doesn't have the sport. That's a big knock-up as well, but the distortion's up long enough, but the second hook! Finally a shutdown, surely! Stretching Strikes gets that, and we have to bring it down a little bit because the fight in the bot side continues. They thought they were going for a dive, but here comes the World Ender. It's a 3 versus 2. Chains of Corruption land, and maybe you can slay a god. They're going to find a lot of CC. Sanvetti slays him, but the damage from Jinx, modern technology will do what blood cannot. The moon is still in the sky, and that's a taunt again, and this Rammus rather, comes up with another big bit of CC. Double kill for the Jinx in the bot lane.
Not for the first time this game. The bot lane of Inca Tern, they were so good last game, and they've been doing admirably this game too, but they overstayed, this time without an outer turret. It doesn't matter that the Aatrox dies early into this. He takes so long to die that the Jinx gets to wail on the people.
The squishy people.
The squishy people, and just buy enough time for Vengeance to get the rest of the members there.
Yeah, where's the people? All the people as they all walk hand in hand as Zac slaps them together. And
Hold
Jinx
hands.
picks up kills.
Now kiss. Slap.
Now kiss. Now get taunted and get powerballed. Slightly missed time there to stop the distortion back.
Get good. I'm playing Rammus mid.
It is. Yeah, the thing is, if Vengeance
they
win
win
this game, can you imagine the tilt that Raging Platypus is going to be
if
under?
I lost in Clash to a mid lane Rammus, I would just leave.
troll pick.
I would leave.
This is it. This would be the tilt.
Yeah.
And Raging will be more than just a moniker.
And that's the thing for me. You've now got 2 items in the Jinx. This Jinx has the ability to carry team fights.
Yeah,
we saw
she
those
does.
and actually, like, if you don't get onto the Jinx, those rocket hurricane crits are going to be really big.
Yeah, and get yourself some Amino memes. Get yourself some Hatsune Miku singing some weird era Gregorian chants, because the Blood Moon Aatrox is also looking to fill in some Latin chanting requiring stuff.
Look, I love orange drugs. I really do. But do you know how obscure a meme
I
is?
thought it wasn't like, I don't know how obscure is that meme?
Very obscure.
Is it? Okay, never mind. It's worth a check out. It's
Hey
quite good
guys, hey chat, have you heard of this really weird Latin chanting
It's
meme
great,
that I've heard
but
about on the interwebs?
Like, okay, fair point. I assumed it was slightly more well known.
I'm reining it in. I'm calling my card.
Yeah,
Like, that's a
it.
weird
Okay,
one.
That's a weird one. It's okay.
However, there is, if you are so interested, a meme about Latin chanting you could potentially
great.
apply
It's really
to
good.
this situation.
It could, but I've done it and it's there. But there you go. The obscurity has been thrown into the
Oh
mix.
my days.
And I've been called out. So we'll have to
You have.
put it back. Bowers over the Ratchet pit though.
Yeah.
So again, I thought that meme was significantly more.
No, it's very strange.
More strange than it was. Maybe it's because I hear it enough. From you,
Oh,
friends.
long time
There
to
you
get
go.
caught. That's the distortion.
It
Stop.
is. We're going to see a fair bit of damage done, but Bowers going in doesn't find a knocker, but now
Rammus is in the back line!
Rammus is in the back line, so is the Let's Bounce. The Cataclysm is down, but there's not enough damage. And actually, those rockets go a mile. Can't flash from autos. Macman gets the Rammus, but I think the 1-for-1 with the Jinx picking up a kill, definitely worth
Oh,
it.
just get assassinated here. She doesn't have that much HP.
The Super Mega Death Rocket finds nothing, and it'll just be the 1-for-1 in the end. Ocean Drake is up and available, and the mid lane turret will get shoved in.
dear.
Sheriff does have to flash out.
And Aatrox didn't have the TP. That's a
Boy
dive on
going
the
in.
turret!
That's a lot of damage. Jinx is here. Big hook onto Leona, and she goes down. And Jinx is well and truly on line 4, 2, and 3 on the carry.
And I feel for Bauer because he knows the target he needs to get on top of. He invests everything to get onto the Jinx. But in that corridor, with the corridor entrance blocked up
No
by
vision.
the traps, with no vision, this Jinx cannot be shut down because the things that we've seen it a couple of times now. The Jinx traps a while ago was changed so that they stop dashes. It means that the LeBlanc's distortion can't even get through them. You can't just take the stun and try and get to the end of it and then try and combo down the Jinx. And it meant that Jinx was just very safe against this Cinderhulk Jarvan. It's not a full dunk Jarvan.
No, exactly. It's Cinderhulk with a phage. Like,
It is, yeah.
She dropped on, and like Jinx's health bar didn't really change all that much. Like, well, I guess I keep firing at you.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I think that Cinderhulk Jarvan is better than Warrior Jarvan.
Yes.
It helps you perform as a frontline. We saw the Jarvan flash away from the rocket that killed him, and he tried to play that damage game, trying to say, look, our last auto won't kill me. It did. It meant that James could run forward. It didn't lead to any other kills, luckily, because the ultimate...
It was the Leona later on.
Oh, Leona later. Okay, my bad. Yeah, but it did mean that, like, the Jinx was then a threat which you had to disengage from. You just can't... You can't stand there with a Get Excited Jinx.
You really can't. And Zac as well, actually 4-0 for Shiara on this Zac, and the Let's Bounces have been so good. That was a lot of work in the backline. There is so much disruption between the Nautilus. We talked about the Rammus. Our minion is, that's what Rammus does at CC, right? And if the Aatrox can stay alive, that was a great Zenith blade onto Jinx, but she's managed to walk up before the Solar Flare comes in. The chain wasn't there. Bauer's going forward, but again, the flag and drag doesn't connect. Jinx
Do
is
the
free
thing,
firing.
Rammus! Do the thing!
Sheriff Thrum gets saved by the heel. But Ingo's the only one more time. Lost and Broken gets the kill on the Rammus. And Chiara is unstoppable. And Jinx is excited. The double for Raris, the weapon of war from Zorn, gets those two.
And Jinx isn't dying every time they try and go forward. Macman looks for the engage, but can't get through the Jinx. Well, the Jinx traps separate the team out once again, and the peel from Lost and Broken and Chiara is enough for Azco to finish off that team fight. Aatrox was a cheerleader in that fight. He didn't have to do any damage. The damage was done.
And I've got to call out the bad CC chaining. Jinx got to walk out of the Zenith Blade. Where on earth was that solo flame needed to be quicker?
In some ways, yes, but even then, I'm not sure it would have bought enough time for the team to get there. It was only the Varus immediately within range, and with the amount of turnaround CC, oh, this is unfortunate. The Flying Drag does get out
yeah,
though.
but there is going to be Elastic Slingshot. You don't have it anymore. Let's kiss, and that is a kiss of death. Raging Platypus takes a lot of damage, and the zap, it doesn't land because the Distortion's there, but guess what you run into, my friend? It's an Aatrox, and a rocket will claim the life of the LeBlanc, who's found no more kills since that early game. 6-2-6 on Jinx. And Rammus doesn't care if you get farm anymore. He's got his items. He's here to fight. And Baron's alive for 26 minutes in with a front line and a Jinx with 2.5 items.
Legit, this is like...
What do we do?
This is Jinx and her cheerleaders. As long as she lives, it doesn't matter what you play mid lane. This Rammus is just doing fine. He's just going into Powerball, looking out for the first target that heads towards his one person he needs to protect. And it's going to buy them a lot of fights in this game and eventually buy themselves a Baron.
It's not just property damage that this Jinx is offering, it's damage to pride.
Oh,
Raging Platypus and Sambetti had a stellar early game, but they are losing control of this game. They've lost control of this game. It is 8,000 gold as an advantage right now for Vengeance.
And so much of that gold is in this top lane too. This is still a 3.5 going on 4,000 gold in the top lane. And this Aatrox hasn't been the main carry in these fights, of course. We've been talking about it. There's now a 2,000 gold lead onto the Jinx. Everyone who needs to be ahead in this game for the side of Vengeance is ahead, and it's making me think we're going to get a game 3 here.
And the point
Rammus mid!
Rammus mid might win a game here in the Balance League.
With Dark Harvest!
And I'm sort of slowly watching the names of Inca's players, like, gradually rotate 90 degrees, because, like, it is stormy weather, and the Titanic is sinking along with the tilt that's occurring.
Yeah, however, you know, we do capture on both sides of this, and you have to ask yourself, Inca, what can they do? You can still kill the Jinx. It hasn't happened yet. Jinx went for a Fire Cannon, went for a Last Whisper. There's no Phantom Dancer. There's no lifesteal outside of the runes. If you kill Jinx, there's still a lack of damage from the side of Vengeance, and you do have good items on your Varus, as long as, again, you can peel for your Varus, just like Vengeance are peeling for the Jinx. You can turn around team fights around your AD carry.
And Blade of the Ruin King and a Guinsoo's
Exactly.
Rage
Good
Blade is
items.
a beautiful combo that can definitely do work in this team fight. But the next time Bauer and Macman engage, they need to have vision and have their carries in range to blow up Jinx. If that happens, they have a team fight advantage on their hands.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen a couple of times now this LeBlanc has been caught out a bit, had the distortion cancelled, doesn't have something like a Banshee to ignore the initial engage. And what that means is that they don't even feel safe enough to look for these poke trades, which you can jump forward to look for.
Yeah, and if Bauer and Macman go forwards, their backline is left very vulnerable to this Zac, who's going to find nothing on that Elastic Slingshot, but there will be an inhibitor that goes down in the mid lane, and the gold lead stretches to 9,000. Well, 7.5. I apologize, I got that one wrong. Gold lead has stayed relatively similar, apparently.
Yes. However, if they do manage to pick up themselves another tower, we can bring out the Dragon Ball references. It will be over 9,000.
It will be over 9,000.
And
Varus is here. They're thinking about this.
No, they won't. I don't. Well, they might do.
It's
This
a
is
two-level advantage.
It's Balance League. Anything can happen.
Sambetti needs to be a little aware because Ocean Drake does go over to the side of Vengeance. That will be their second of the game. Nowhere near the Ocean Soul as yet, but it has prevented that option at all right now from the side of Inca Tern. There's a bit of damage there on the Azco 99. Good combo over the wall from the
And that's what happens when you don't have you didn't commit the ignite. You didn't actually land all of your full damage rotation there as well, because you have to use both of your jumps to get forward and look for the ultimate trade. This will be 2 turrets again falling with the last of this Baron's just fallen off now. And now excited is Jinx. Might be forward to get a couple of auto attacks in, but it might just be the Inca.
Yeah, and there's such a big front line and such a big vision
Varus just has to flash away.
Varus does have to flash away because Creon King has gone in. So, has Zac, and that is a tanky boy in blue or purple this time around. But look at Jinx, she's very, very low. We're going to see if they can get on. That was a good taunt, though. Asco's shut down. They're in the base. This could be an absolute disaster now for Vengeance. And I think they're going to win this one in Tern. That's a strong Aatrox, but Samvete does get the kill.
It's a strong round.
Power goes down. Samvete is down. It's a 2 for 2, but I think we're going to see perhaps a bit more on the Sheriff's run here. There's just tanks left alive from, of course, Inca Tern. They're going in. Radiant Platypus dives in, dives out, but there's just not the consistent damage. Shiara is godlike on Zac somehow, some way.
He hasn't died this game. He hasn't, yeah.
This is a monster turnaround. It looked like they'd done it. They did what we asked them to. The Jinx was dead. The Aatrox was dead, and they still lose the tail end of the team fight.
Because at the start of that fight, Creon King found his way into the backline. He ended up tanking up a couple of Nexus turrets and going down at the end of that. But before he went down, he took down Samvete with him. The consistent damage from the side of Inca Tern was gone. And as much as the Jinx was dead too, the front line, as you were saying, of the Zac, who hasn't died this game yet, and of course the Rammus and the Nautilus, just couldn't die because the consistent damage was gone for the other team.
And LeBlanc there was trying. She was trying, but just nothing was sticking. Look at the items for Zac. That is a Randuin, a Warmox, an adaptive helm, and a cylinder help. That's just so much HP and resist.
It is, and it also means that he's going to be a very large character. That's the biggest thing about Zac.
Yes, quite literally. In fact,
yeah, he's very big.
He is very
big. Gooey boy.
He is flubber. Speaking of which, Rick Moranis is coming back to movie making.
I saw something about it.
But you know that's Robin Williams though, which is not the same.
Yeah, but, yeah. I was about to say like okay,
but similar goofy scientists that go do weird things. But honey,
well, maybe Lost and Broken will take inspiration and become Space Powerballs.
Space Powerballs, that could be it.
That's the sequel. If he comes back to movie making, Rick Moranis will make Spaceball sequel.
Will he be in Space Jam sequel? Because he was in the original one there. He lost somebody down a golf hole to the golf hole to the Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So will we see the likes of LeBron with Rick Moranis, his agent? I would be really down for that as a movie.
That brings about many mixed feelings, if I'm honest. That could be awful.
Much like the Rammus mid in this game.
But like, Rammus has a Thorn Mail. He has all the items he needs. It's like
he does.
And this Zac, again, can jump forward with impunity. Has 3 items.
Here comes the boom onto Samvete. Taunt is down as well. Tremors are down as well. Samvete gets knocked up again and gets knocked down. Creon King kills the AD carry, and it's now a 5 versus 4. The hook was huge. Bauer's going to try and find his way forwards and fails it. LeBlanc goes in, but Flash out just Echo 99, and he's going to survive. A Raging Platypus now in trouble, desperately trying to duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge his way out of this. The Chilling Smite is there, but the Blast Plant is enough.
And the Jinx ult wasn't committed there. Might have been able to get the LeBlanc.
I think they can. They can the base.
They do, and this may be as evening up the series.
You know what you do to really BM your opponents. You win with a Troll, Rammus pick mid, and a Jinx that has survived most team fights. And that will be a Game 2 victory to Vengeance in the most unlikely of scenarios.
Go run back to your camera. I'm going to go steer about Rammus mid.
Rammus. What are these?
Sure, cool. I'm going to watch you just roll out my door then, I guess. Okay, you're left alone with me to ponder existence as we see a Rammus mid win in the Balance League. Fantastic. But it will be Vengeance equaling up the series 1-1. Not what we would have expected coming into this, but they did play around the pick well. You know, it did provide extra appeal for the AD carry, and also the Aatrox was kind of left alone to just wail on the top lane all game because the pressure was all bot lane. It wasn't about killing the mid lane and then kind of going from the mid lane to the top lane. It was all about the bot lane, and the Rammus came down there and got a lot of kills himself.
He did. And we've also got to call out what looked to be a pretty exceptional teleport in from Creon King after we said, look, he can teleport down. Teleports down, and yes, he dies, but he takes so long to die, they start the snowball.
Oh, yeah, look, it wasn't the best teleport ever. Teleporting onto the Chains of Corruption, not the best thing ever, but it was at the right time, and it was always the right play to make, and it got Jinx back into that game. The 2v2 was not particularly faring well for the side of Vengeance, but they came through it with some massive plays across the map.
Yeah, I could not have phrased it better, and the fact that Hodgson was... completely out of that game.
Mm.
That they had
Yeah.
got some side lane pressure that forced people away from the Rammus that was getting isolated. And let's also put from serious credit to Shiara as well, who had a stellar Zac game. I
Oh
think
yeah, for
ended at
sure.
7-0 and I want to say 9, maybe 10.
Let me
Fabulous,
have a look.
fabulous result there from the Zac.
708.
There you
708.
go.
Pretty close. But yeah. And think of the amount of distortions that were cancelled by that Zac. Think of actually the amount of times where I mean this is partly on the Zac, partly on Platypus as well, not playing respectfully around the Zac, because you know that Zac can gank mid so well. If you use your distortion to clear a wave, which again, you kind of disrespect your opponent sometimes, you think, it's a Rammus, I'm winning the plays, I want to get some priority, I want to roam. If you use your distortion to clear the wave, which you're a LeBlanc, of course you're going to do that at some point in the game, Zac can then jump on top of you and you have to force a flash. We saw that several times that game, and a lot of it was Shiara's being in the right place at the right time.
Because just as we could see Inca Tern had ways into the backline, they had the likes of the Jarvan, of the Leona. We saw the other side, of course, had Zac, had the Nautilus, had a Rammus.
Rammus.
Aatrox can get like that's a lot of CC. The thing is, if you're diving forwards to get onto the opposing backline and then having your own backline CC'd up for days anyway, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, and now in trouble are Inca Turn because they came in with a 1-0 lead. It's been evened up. What do you think about game 3, Sam? What are you feeling?
I
What are you
think
feeling?
that game is going to be a tilter. Like, I could absolutely see Raging Platypus not play well the next game because he had a stunning early game lead, was winning the lane, and then lost to a Rammus mid. And I worry about the mental and psychological effects of that.
Yes,
Yourself,
yeah.
where are your eyes on this one?
Well, you say that, but of course that can also light a fire under people as well. I don't
You
want to
can do.
I don't want to like characterize someone so easily as that. Of course, that is something which very much can happen. I would be tilted myself, but again, this can be something where the team takes it in its stride and says, "Okay, right, we just got outplayed in terms of macro. They played around their comp, however it fell into it very well. Let's just reset. We won game one very easily. We had really good dive champions. Let's go back to that and let's just smash them again." So again, could go either way.
Yeah, and this is what it's going to be. It'll be that mental test. Do they come out of this stronger for it, or are they going to fall in a reverse sweep to vengeance? But we'll find out Inca Tern's fate after this very short break. See you then.
the night sky, trying to make me see your stars. But the dark gets so lonely. Now I see violet, I can feel silence. And the dark's all that I see. When your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find violet in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You're the night sky, hiding behind dark gray clouds. I can't figure you out now. I see all blue. There is so much cold in you, and the silence is so loud when you go. I just stay dancing with my shadow all day. Watch the time. I can't find the point where our two paths align. But you're the night sky. I'm trying to see your stars, but I've always feared the dark. Now I see violet, I can feel your silence. You always feel so far when your stars have burnt out and your heart.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back after an absolutely unprecedented win by Vengeance with, and cue up your Green Hill theme, the Sonic of the mid lane, Aramis himself.
Yeah, what a strange game. And I have to say, as a color caster, come cast the VL if you want some absolute training weights and try and figure out what the heck are you supposed to say about some of these picks. So, you can be sat there knowing about the meta matchups. Oh man, what about about Aatrox and Renekton? What about Azir Corki? Like some of the more boring matchups. And then just someone just goes, screw it, let's go pick something random. That's kind of what happened that game. But Vengeance absolutely rolled with it. I actually wasn't meaning to say that, but yeah, they absolutely ran with it, rolled with it all the way to the Nexus, got themselves the win to bring us to 1-1. We're here for game 3 now, and both of these games have been, outside of the early game, very decisive.
They have, and we've also got to praise. Actually, the Ramus was something of a bystander in a lot of what won this game. Like serious praise to Shiara Zach. That looked pretty stunning. We saw fantastic laning and pressure out of the Aatrox. We saw the Jinx survive team fights that perhaps she had no right to, and put out a lot of work in the late game and become a real thorn and frankly like knife in the back of Inca Tern.
A bit larger than a thorn. Really starting to exsanguinate people there, bleeding them out all across the rift. And I think one thing, particularly for me, from Vengeance's game 2 win is that this all happened because of the Zac, let's be honest. Right?
Yeah.
The Aatrox was really big in its own right, but the Zac being able to just hyper gank and prop up these lanes, particularly the mid lane, because Zac can gank mid lane, much unlike any other champion. Just to be able to make his team survive through the early game and then provide a bulwark for this Jinx to free fire behind. It was really important to Zac. So for me, if they're going to play a similar style comp, but they do have this strong backline AD carry, I think you have to ban Zac from the side of Inca Tern now.
Yeah, you may well need to, or at least find some way to keep Yavara safe from him, because that didn't work out that time. But having said that, we saw a very good game 1 from Inca Tern. We saw exactly how they can win these games. So it's not out of the ballpark at all. There will be the additional question asked, though, and that has to be answered in this game as to whether the loss to what was effectively a mispick, and a bad mispick at that in the Ramus, is going to adversely affect them. That could be a serious tilter.
It could be, but like I said, it couldn't go either way. People are very strange beings, mentality is not common to any one person, really.
Not.
It could absolutely affect these players in different ways. So for me, Obviously, I am looking for Inca Tern to reset, maybe go back towards the more dive combo that they were happier with. It's a little bit different when you don't have the Kaiser. It's harder to play around that with a Varus or something, but they look much more comfortable with that and stuff like the Echo instead of the Jarvan, which can be a bit more of a damage threat. So there's a lot of options available for Inca, who are once again going to be on the red side. They chose that because I believe it is. Yeah, anyway, so they're on the red side this time around. Lots of things can change in this pick and ban. I think we've seen the top lane go very different ways. That's another thing as well, right? The Aatrox has been big from Korean King in both games, who was nullified in one game late game, and the other game absolutely not. So we're looking for a lot of different things in this pick and ban.
Well, we'll have to see how that figures out. And there is one other one I need to call out, and I need to call out, of course, the side of gosh, I'm having a moment here. I'm going to have to call out the side of course, our LeBlanc from the last time. We're going to call out Raging Platypus here as well. Like, he had a fantastic game one. The Victor was great.
Can you do
We
it
saw
on the
a
run though? Because we're in pick and ban.
Oh, we haven't picked a ban. I need to run. All right, well, I'll save it. You go. I'll have to run. And once again,
Quick,
travel in
roll
the
towards me. Powerball, my child. Powerball. Go, come hither. Do the thing. Anyway, we're into pick and ban for game 3 of this week's action of the Valanth League. This is, of course, the first series, as we were saying, for Inca Tern. This first game of the split.
Hello there.
And hello there indeed. And Vengeance, and Vengeance had a 2 over Hensai Haven in their first week game. So if Inca Tern do win this, it will bring themselves level with Vengeance.
It will, and that will be a big deal. But it's also like, my journey is complete. I'm here. I'm good to pick casting, and we've got to find out how this game goes. It's for all the marbles. There is that question about psychology. Which way does it flip? Is it going to light a fire, or is it going to douse it? That is what we're going to find out. Fizz, Gragas, Kaiser, Oriana, Morgana, and now Aatrox will be banned. Creon King will not be getting his hands on that pick again.
They first picked the Nautilus last time. They're going to first pick it again. Just going to correct myself. It won't actually bring them level because the game score will be 1-1. So they'll be even on Series 1, but not in terms of the games won. They'll have a game score of +1, not plus.
That will be a big one.
Actually, no, that's not true because the other team will be. Oh no, they'll also be +1, so it actually would draw them even. Exactly.
Wow,
I'm just trying to do it in my head without having it written out in front of me. Either way, it'll be good for them.
Maths on cast is always a difficult and risky process.
I technically have a maths qualification.
I know
I did a degree in physics. I'm just very bad at it.
Well, there we go. Ezreal Yumi is locked in on the other side, and that's a different option, and it's definitely a better way to keep Sam Vete alive. And if people are diving in with a Zac getting frozen in place by some well-read last chapters.
Oh my god, the horror in the
serious trouble. Go on, Lost, just do it again. Just show us how it's done. Can you feel the mental warfare occurring right now? Raging Platypus is probably living up to his name.
Yeah, something like that. It's going to be the Jinx again. Okay, so going once again for that hyper carry in the bot lane worked out very well for them last time. The thing is, I was talking about, Inca look really good with their diving playstyle. Yumi helps with that. You can put that on top of anyone and have it be an extra tool of engage. Also, the Ezreal is more mobile than something like the Varus. You can jump forward. It's not like jumping, and you don't want to jump through a front line particularly, but if you do find the right kind of engage, Ezreal has more follow-up than a lot of different AD carries.
Yes, it definitely doesn't. Just agency is what we term it, like that ability to do what thou wilt, and specifically the Arcane Shift versus Nautilus versus Zac is damn good. But Hodgson's got his Mundo again as well, which is a big deal.
However, Nautilus is one of the more meta counters to a Yumi because you can force the fights and make it into the really big burst trades, the big 2v2s.
He can interrupt her dashes as well.
So the pocket pick of, the preferred pick of the Syndra being banned away from Lost and Broken, that was played in game 1, and the Victor was also played in game 1. We saw that lane probably go towards Raging Platypus, if I'm honest. The Victor just came into team fight, surviving lane, one-shotting a lot of people who dove a bit too deep, and it was very good for them. So I'm glad that has been banned away.
We saw one dodgy failed flash against an arrow in the round the sort of first dragon fight, and that was about it. Apart from that, Raging Platypus had an amazing game on the Victor. He won't be getting to play it this time around. I find it unlikely that we'll see a Rammus this time around from Lost and Broken. So it'll be new picks for both of these laners, with the LeBlanc banned away as well.
Mundo, unbanned. It's already locked in, of course. Mundo was not banned in the first round, so it was locked in. Ornn, unbanned for Creon King. This is probably his favorite pick outside of the Aatrox. Is another big team fighting champion. Not so good at doing the backline diving and kind of being a secondary damage threat. even though Ornn does do a heck of a lot of damage, it does give you that team fight disengage potential with the Call of the Forge God. I
Well,
like Echo as well. I like them.
Echo was a good pick from Bauer in the first game victory for Inca. There were some deep dives that definitely paid off. And if you want to get onto a Jinx, Echo, who can get in, blow up, and get out, is probably a little bit more aggressive solo kill potential than perhaps the Jarvan was the last game.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And yeah, Bauer in that game played very well on there.
He did.
He ended up fighting very evenly across the map, coming into team fights, being able to reset them very
Mhm.
well. It's not going to be the Ornn. It's going to be another side
Woo,
lane carry threat.
baby.
It's going to be the Camille. And this is a tank killer. This is something that can potentially kill a Mundo. I think that Mundo has outplay tools on a Camille. You know, you can sidestep a lot of, if you can sidestep the hook shot and land enough cleavers, kind of make sure that you're kind of going through your consistent damage as opposed to Camille's burst rates. You can win that 1v1, but it depends on the overall lead.
Galio is locked
Okay.
in though, and when you single out and Hextech ultimatum a target like an Ezreal who's trapped in the baby
Yeah.
cage for a Zac and a Galio to show them exactly what it means to be a hero, you could see a very dead Ezreal.
You absolutely can. And this is also big because Galio has been buffed recently. So if you cast your ultimate on a target, everyone within that ultimate landing zone when Galio lands will get his magic shield from his W.
I was laughing because that last pick there for Raging Platypus was the man with a shrine to this champion. I joke, it's not really. He's just got some cool stuff.
Oh, no, it is.
Okay, it
No, it
is.
is.
Okay,
It is.
never mind. He's Ari is what we're going at here.
Yeah, so I myself am an Ari main. I get to say that once on every cast. And in the Balance League, there are a lot of people who play Ari, and lots of people I can flame for playing Ari. There are some important interactions here. So, Ari Charm cancels dashes. You can cancel the Justice Punch from Galio if you hit it on the front part of that E, so you kind of steps back and then you charm into them. It can stop them dead. You can also stop the Elastic Slingshot from Zac mid-air, which means if you keep that ability available to you, you can remain relatively safe in that mid lane. But if you fail the charm, you get locked up for forever, and there are a lot of things which can deal with an Ari in this game. I'm not sure this is the safest pick. You're going to have to see how it plays out.
Well, then again, an Ari and Echo as a pretty good dive combo. You burn that Essence. Is Essence Rush, I believe, is the ultimate?
Spirit Rush.
Spirit Rush. Wrong kind of rush.
Essence Thief is well, the old passive now it's with Styling Grace. Which
Exactly.
Is
I'm still stuck on that old passive name. It's what I knew it as for such a long time. But it will be, of course, Spirit Rush with the Echo, the ability to just dive, throw charms at this Jinx, coming from odd angles. Could be a little trickier for Jinx to stay alive.
I have to say, one of the big things about this particular team comp is that Yuumi is really good at anti-dive because just you lock in a lot of these melee range champions in place with the last chapter. And if you can do that and then kind of twin that into a charm, into a parallel convergence, and then Mundo gets to stack up not stack up because he doesn't have Conqueror. You can play Conqueror in Mundo, though. If you manage to just run about, and he's really good into AP champions, by the way, so he's really good against the Zac and the Galio, less good against the Camille. With this Yuumi healing up the Mundo, this could be a very, very strong Hodgson, and we know what he can do on that champion.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And while Yuumi is very good at stopping dives, she can also be pretty good at enabling them, because when you have very mobile people like an Ezreal, an Ari, and Echo, who you can sit on top of and get you into fantastic positions for your last chapter, or final chapter, I apologize. There is
Keep getting that wrong.
No, I know. It's Lost Chapter is the
item.
component. Final chapter is, of course, Yuumi, and a combination of the both is Last Chapter, which is neither, and therefore not in the game.
Cool. Right.
There
Well,
we
lessons with initialize.
Indeed. But what it does mean is that final chapter could potentially catch Jinx out quite a lot. So we'll have to see how that goes.
So, Raging Platypus, he was caught out a lot in the mid lane from that Zac last game. He started using his distortion to clear waves. Ari, of course, doesn't have to use either the ultimate or the E to clear waves. That would be very strange. So I think that if you can hold your charm when you are trying to get priority, you're probably safer than a LeBlanc would be in that situation if you're trying to push at the same rate. But of course, if you do end up getting hit by one CC, like I said, it could be a very dangerous 2v2 in the mid lane for Team Inca Tern. On the other side, of course, it's a very good 2v2 for Team Vengeance. And if they manage to get themselves priority because Vision is not won by Inca Tern around the mid lane, we could see a lot of roaming potential from this Galio, either to the bot lane with the Nautilus and the Zac coming in, or the top lane, like we were saying, with that Hextech ultimatum being able to lock in any target in place.
Completely true. And we saw Inca Tern's vision lines kind of collapse towards the mid game, and having your vision lines collapse versus a Zac, a Galio, a Nautilus, a Camille, who can come at you from over walls or join you from miles away, could spell doom for Inca Tern. So they need to be very, very careful about how they set up around their own jungle and around these objectives because they cannot afford to lose vision control again.
I'd almost kind of break my own summoner's code and say Glacial Aura is really good this game because the amount of anti-dive you want.
Yes.
If you put down a GLP when Galio's trying to follow up, or Zac or Camille trying to run down someone, that could be pretty good. Normally Glacial is really good against loads of melees. 4 melees on the side of Vengeance, as much as they have mobility as well, could help a little bit. But of course, Electrocute helps with your early trade and your burst potential.
If you are there, I suppose, as an addition to pick, it could be pretty powerful. But we'll have to find out what the options are after we drop into game proper. But until then, we'll leave you to the highlight reels. Any other runes worth thinking about? It is the final match of this showdown between Inca Tern and Vengeance. And we've got another level 1 from Vengeance.
Oh,
the last one
Ezra's
went really
not
well. Oh, Sanvete! He's been hooked. He's not got his arcane shift. He's been stunned in place. He flashes out, but so does Jinx. And First Blood is already on the way to Piltover's largest troublemaker.
And that's what Nautilus allows you to do. The amount of CC that champion brings at level 1 means that invades are always an option. So a lot of people think about Blitzcrank. Nautilus and Morgana and Braum can all do that sort of threatening play as well. I think it's also telling that Sanvete, this is a classic mistake. Don't level up your abilities until you think you need them. He'd leveled up his arcane, not leveled up his arcane shift. He'd done his mystic shot instead, because he only had to have his flash over the wall. Maybe with a flash and an arcane shift, could have made an escape, but of course that didn't happen.
Yeah, it did not, and it does at least burn flash from Asgo 99, but the fact Asgo goes back and picks himself up a second pot and a long sword, which is just a big deal for those early trades.
It is. And speaking of early trades, one thing which can help with that, but I'm not a big fan of, is the Corrupting Potion on this Galio in the mid lane. The thing about Galio is that he's actually really bad at farming minions with his regular auto attacks. He has to wait until his passive comes up, which is every 8 seconds, or his Q, which you'd rather be hitting the enemy with, if I'm honest. And Doran's Ring does give you that extra flat bonus to kill minions, extra 5 damage and auto attack, which in the early game can be very important for Galio because he doesn't want to be traded on too hard when he's going for those early minions.
Well, with flashes burned by both bot laners, you can see junglers are going to start pathing down that way. Echo's gone towards his Krug second, Zac's gone towards the walls, but either way, end of those path routes will be down towards the bot lane, but Yumi already caught a little bit there, but nothing more than a health bar trade thus far.
Nothing indeed. So we have our junglers going towards a relatively full clear style of a fuller clear than some style of jungle clear. Echo's going to clear out his entire red quadrant on that top side of the map, whereas this Mundo is taking a bad trade. That's what's talking about on the screen. But this Zac will be going buff to Wolves to Raptors. Another buff and looking perhaps for an early bot side stuff take.
We're seeing the ping out from Echo, who's saying, yeah, I cleared my top side. I'm going to pick up my blue buff and be ready for a play myself. Good charm onto Lost and Broken there, who took about, well, 2/3 of his health bar there.
It was about, yeah, particularly, he started off with a little bit less than that.
Fair.
But yeah, so basically, Galio can lose the early trades very hard if he uses his summons.
Oh, that's miserable. Oh, Bauer does at least get a hold of the blue buff, but that roam could have been very, very dangerous towards that mid lane.
But there was no flash available to follow from Jinx, a flash available from the Echo. Nautilus, if he'd landed a hook, maybe we would be talking a little bit more about that. But there was no ignite, of course, the exhaust taken by Nautilus, and even then, it was used in the level 1. So not the biggest kill pressure, but Echo's not the healthiest jungler either, so it's still good damage either way.
Yeah, and we like to see the aggressive moves out of the bot lane there from Vengeance. Possibly got from a bit of CS though. Dropped a couple there, having roamed out, and Sam Vette's done a pretty good job of cleaning up his end of that wave.
As indeed, we see 2 corrupting charges burned by the Galio there, but overall maintaining priority in the mid lane can be a bit dangerous because actually Galio doesn't necessarily want to come
Zac.
out. Zac is in the bot lane though.
Yeah, he's going to get the stretching strike as well, and now Yumi's in a difficult spot. She's been exhausted, she's been rooted, she's got no W. Chiara gets a kill, and the bot lane is in dire straits already. Bauer's mid though.
He is mid, so we can see if there's any kind of follow-up. No, he's not going to walk into the parallel convergence. Charm was not committed safely behind the minions there. It was Galio, so a bit of time wasted from the Echo, but nothing particularly dramatic in the mid lane just yet.
Yeah, and I wonder whether he was actually pinged out by that ward on top of where the Scuttle Crab vision was.
Maybe.
That might have just given Lost and Broken enough awareness to avoid it.
I'm actually not sure about that. He did walk up pretty close to that river brush there.
Yeah,
but this
that's
is one
true,
of,
I
yeah.
suppose.
Oh, he's actually just punching forward. Okay, alright.
Getting the wave.
He's getting the wave play.
Got a bit of a CS lead here. I think even with the wave cleared up, that is pretty good going for this Galio, especially after you said it can be a bit tricky
rough. Yes, it can
to farm when you don't have that door in sight.
Yeah, it can be rough in the early game, but the trades probably going the way of... Oh, as we swap taking out trades. Top lane.
Yeah, the Precision Protocol comes out. Tactical sweep as well with the hook shot, and that's just a lot of damage on Vormundo, who doesn't have any resistances really as yet.
Yeah, and I mean, Camilla's a tank killer. She has the Conqueror, has true damage on her as well, and that does mean that once again, Creon King is getting the better of the early game against Hodgson, even on his preferred Mundo.
He is. Mundo will now back and see what he can pick up. He can pick up maybe some Ninja Tabi. That might offer a little bit more life support in that.
Zac in the mid lane.
Zac is in the mid lane. Raging Platypus is in trouble. Has to flash. That's a good charm to stop Lost and Broken going forwards, but the flash is burned.
Yeah. So Flash now gone from the Ahri means that until that level 6 mark, which luckily will be hit pretty soon, could potentially be, as we were saying, going in, yeah.
Ignite is down, Taunt is also down. He's going to try and just split and misses it. That's going to be not quite the kill because the flash was clean.
Yeah, Flash away from that final Spirit Rush.
Thinking of going in with Chiara. It's actually 2 levels down here. Gets the knock up.
He has no mana.
There's no mana, and Zac doesn't need it. He's just leveled up to 5 as well. That's a pretty big deal. But the turnaround is kind of there. Has got the Vestayan Grace and, of course, the heal available on the queue for the next time. That's up if you can get them.
And okay, so it's a good all-in in some ways for Flash, just knowing that he has the cooldowns and the Galio is a little bit out of place there. But you've used a lot of resources to no gain now. It does get harder to kill Galio as the game comes on. He's going to go back and get himself a revolver, which means that potentially he can out-trade you now in the short trades. And of course, the extra levels with more HP and the W being available. Actually, Ahri's staying a long time here. Just ran out of mana.
Here, and the mana is down. And here comes the Galio ult. Here comes the boom. And Lost and Broken slay the Platypus.
Okay, so for some reason I thought that was an enemy Galio ult. It's like, oh, it's a turnaround. No, it is just, that's pretty much just a free teleport back to lane. And now the Ahri has died, has no flash, has no ult, has no ignite. At least that the Galio has used his ult, so you don't have to try and respond to any the semi-global abilities. But it's not looking great in this mid lane matchup for Inca Tern.
No, it is not. And Chiara on this Zac has now found 3 early kill participation.
The guy's a monster.
He's so good on this Zac. And once again, it's looking damn hot for this Zac.
It is, yeah, no, and I've been very impressed by this Zac, you know, and this is the thing when you're playing mid lane against Zac, you've got to be aware that this is one of the better mid lane ganking champions in the game. Charm lands onto the Galio, that's good, maybe we can have a wraparound play from Bauer to look into that mid lane, but he hasn't managed to do any of that yet, and the vision is very much in control around this mid lane for the side of Vengeance.
And we're talking about why Zac is a fantastic mid lane gambling champion, and that's largely about vision, right?
A lot of his vision, but also just the range of Elastic Slingshot means that you can gank from angles much like a Fiddlesticks or a Rek'Sai, right? You can do it outside of the regular warding path, or there are just too many spots for you to ward out on the Zac, right? Because you can do it from the mid lane brush, same as any other jungler. And we see another fight in top lane, but you can also do it from the Raptor Pit, from just behind your enemy, your mid lane walls as well. And there's just too many places you can have to cover for that.
And that's true of all lanes as well, because you can come in from beyond the really thick wall in the bottom top lanes as well. Bauer is top and maybe looking for a gank. There is no vision, and Creon King's just gone in. That could be trouble. Phase dive in. Creon King flashing. Has he got his way out? Bauer's got a speed up. He's going to try and continue to go forward. There is no flash. That was a use of the Tiamat to try and slow down. But in goes Bauer. Phase dive came up and he'll get that kill onto the Camille.
I wonder if they could have committed a Galio TP there. I don't think it would have worked, and I'm glad they didn't, because of course Ari was roaming up as well. There's no Galio ultimate, so a bit just hubris there, maybe from the Camille, thinking that he's been trading so well all along. You can go in, it's going to be a freebie, but of course Bauer in the right place at the right time.
Asco does get spotted out, but it's the Jinx in a bush, not a Zac. That's the kind of position this player is feeling like he's in. Takes a large health bar trade for it though.
He does, and with not level 1, looking without the level 6 available from Yuumi, not the biggest kill pressure just yet, even though of course the True Shot Barrage is there for any follow-up damage from the Ezreal. Now that this Jinx is caught out, at least has the biscuits to heal up in lane, but maybe we could see a level 6 play from the bot lane 2v2 of Tern.
Maybe we can, but it's not like Sunvete and Macman have low damage, but they will find themselves on a hook. Do Arcane shift themselves over the Chompers though?
They do, so the play disengaged from, and with the Zoomies, Ezreal will be healing up regardless.
He will. Zoomies is a great ability, and for now,
That's one way to say it.
Nottingham Forest, Sherwood rather. Ezra, is it Sherwood or Nottingham Forest?
It's oh, it might be Nottingham Forest. No, I think it's Sherwood Forest.
Okay.
Sherwood, yeah.
Okay. Either way,
I do play the skin. I have the skin. I
know.
love the skin because
we are Nottingham lads.
We are from Nottingham. We are from the ancestral homeland of Robin Hood. Well, unless you talk to people from Yorkshire.
They're wrong.
Robin Hood was from Yorkshire.
But that's just not.
But
We don't know. Loxley's not the key.
sure.
Somewhere out there, someone is screaming at us, but until that point, that's fine. We are.
Somewhere out-
Mum's from Yorkshire, so we get to say this, right?
Right? Sure. Cool. We get to say that. Anyway, that's a nice skin.
It is a
That's
nice
the
skin.
main point of
It
that.
is. It's a cool one. And
Yeah.
like a little bit of historical reference from me and Nymera there. But Sheriff Run is looking for another engage, just trying to force Ezreal to not be in Q range for those minions.
But with all summoners available and, you know, having an exhaust and a heal from the Inca and the bot lane, it's hard to get yourself a full ult in. That's going to be Herald picked up for the side of Vengeance on the top side of the map. We still have time to get some plays. You know, it's still a good 3.5 minutes. And that, of course, allows you to put gold onto a carry of your choice. I want to see it maybe into the top lane, get Camille out and across that map as well. Unless you want to make a big play in the bot lane and once again get Azco very far ahead on this Jinx.
I mean, if Shiara and Lost and Broken
it's
make
actually
that
taken
run,
by Camille. Okay, so it's going to be in the top lane, right?
It will be. It's a big charm from the bush, but that Orb of Deception did just miss. Final chapter, though, does not. We talked about it earlier, and Sheriff Thrum takes all of his health bar in damage trade. Ignite gets that one, and the cat claims the kill.
I'm sure for Nottingham at that point, isn't it? It's just he's gone down to it's gone down to Robin Hood.
Well, I don't know where Prince John is, but he's going to be very upset with that little pickup. Flash burned, no way out. But now Bauer potentially going to have to find his own way out here. Going to be Elastic Slingshotted onto, gets knocked in place, flashes over the wall.
Okay. So I guess he doesn't have cooldowns to avoid that there. Shiara once again finding something on Zac. It's really not been punished very much at all on this Echo, on the Zac pick, and he's just finding ways to get to this point of the game where he does get so tanky.
He does, but again, that was at least some play in the bot side that feels like it's gone the way of Inca Tern. They found a good gank in the top side, there's a good play in the bot side as well. That's something turning around what was looking pretty ugly in the early game. It's still a 2,000 gold deficit.
Oh, this is
That's a
probably
big trade. I think he is. The taunt does miss. Flash in, flash out rather. Raging Platypus uses the Spirit Rush. pretty clean solo kill.
It is, and as he even burns the flash for it as well. Zach's gonna be back in the mid lane. No, oh, there's no ultimate left from the Ahri here.
Yeah, she's got flash, may have to think about using it, but there's not that much damage from Zach Lad. He's got some bloblets, and he's managed to use the ultimate himself, but all it will be a HPR trade. Thought he was going to bait out the Arcane Shift and just walk away. That's a 1 versus 2, Creon King. Are you sure you did this before, buddy? You can't take everything. But here comes Hextech Ultimate, because actually it's a 2 versus 2, because we talked about the gank rage of Zach. Now Hodgson in a bit of trouble. Creon comes pretty low. He's waiting to heal up. That Triumph was pretty good. Hook shots there. That's a good stun, but now Shiara is low. The cleavers are coming through.
There's a passive.
If there's a passive, he flashed for that. I don't think he can get it. Actually, is he going to try and get the cleavers? Hook on the bot side. It just doesn't end here. But the Arcane Shift is enough to get out. It'll be a 1 for none and a passive trade for the flash of Hodgson.
Yeah, so it's a passive trade, but there's no extra gold going up to the side of the Mundo. And it wasn't a 2v1 this time. Of course, Zach managing to join the party just in time. Turned around, and it's gold over to the Camille, who will be that split push threat, which we've identified right from the get-go. There's going to be a Herald top lane as well, which means that Mundo has to respond with his own teleport to try and defend the place. I don't think you can survive the... I don't think you can stay up the... Okay, he does actually get 320 gold. That's a good pickup, actually. How much gold do you got in inventory? He's got 1,500 gold, so he'll be able to pick up another component of the Triforce if he'd like, or complete boots. One or two.
Both are good options here. I can sort of see with the way that Creon King is playing. I suspect it will be a component of the Triforce. There comes the Phage. Yeah. So not surprised, and that at least offers a little bit of movement speed too, I suppose.
Some of the kiting potential. That's actually an charm into
Charm.
parallel conversion.
Out on the parallel conversion, he walks back in! Oh, Lost and Broken goes straight down to Bower there.
Okay, and so this is what happens when you do... The thing about Galio is that he is a melee champion, and it means that he has to position very differently when he wants to farm. He didn't have his Justice Punch available, or if he did, he didn't end up using it. And it was well played by Regin Platypus to engage into that trade while the parallel convergence was channeled to make sure it was between a rock and a hard place. There was no way out for Galio. So well played.
And Galio now caught out a couple times in a row in the mid lane. Some great charms from this Ahri. How did they find the Ahri play?
Right, you know, all things said and done, Zach can do nasty things to you if you don't use the cooldowns well. We saw that happen to the LeBlanc in the last game, but he's been managing to find the all-ins at the right time onto this Galio. He's managed to complete himself some merch reds now, which will make it a little bit harder in the future, but with the CS advantage you have and the kills you have with the completed Ludens, this Ahri is pretty strong at this point in the game.
Well, the Sheriff of Nottingham and Shiara just cleared out a lot of wards around this Infernal Drake, which is available. And we're going to see a bit of contest. Ezreal and Yumi just wanted him to contest. I'm not sure they wanted this. That's a depth charge up. That's a final chapter now. They have to step around those Flame Choppers. They've had to burn heal as well now. They get hooked again. And that's going to put serious trouble. I think it'll be a double kill because here comes the Zac. Double kill for Jinx. And once again, as Code 99 and Sheriff Thrun find a fantastic 2v2 around the 15-minute mark.
They do, and this time the Jinx didn't suffer in the 2v2. It's going to be strong from the get-go. It's going to get themselves the second Dragon of the game as well, get stacking up towards whatever soul it might be. First with the Cloud Drake, very important for the likes of Galio Ultimate, which is a really long cooldown nowadays, and of course the Infernal Dragon for the extra stats. It's going to be an Ocean Drake as well, one of the most powerful souls in the game. It's looking good for the side of Vengeance.
It is, and Ocean Drake on this Zac that's already at 104 could be really problematic. We're seeing Creon King get flanked again. Here comes the parallel convergence. He's stepping forward. He's in a bit of a difficult spot, but has managed to find his way largely forward as Flash. I don't think he's got enough way out now. They're going to try and use the Hextech Ultimate, and Bauer has to try and find his way out. That was well played.
That was well played, actually, avoiding some damage with the Hextech Ultimatum. Ahri's now making her way up to the top side, but as is Zac, but Creon King should be able to leave his... Oh, that's an ultimate committed from Ahri there. Thinking he can find the Camille, not going to get... Oh, the charm hits!
Charm! Regin Platypus, style points definitely earned there, but might be at the trade of his life, because here is Lost and Broken. There's a Galio ult still available. Protobelt comes down. Regin Platypus goes down, and Bauer's got no ultimate. He gets taunted on the tower. He's down for a second kill to this Galio, and Hodgson now has to flee from the giant stone golem and this weapon of war that is a Zac. As the winds of war come out, here comes the hero's entrance. He doesn't have to go very far because Mundo goes where he pleases, and where he pleases is the death realm.
Okay, style points for the Ahri there. I appreciate it, but not KDA points, and it has ended up losing your team that continued fight because of the cooldowns you invested into a pick there. Wasn't available for the follow-up fight. And oh no, but on the other side, this has been called out.
He does avoid the hook shot by stepping forward in a straight line. Here comes the final chapter. Sheriff Thrun is rooted in place, and that Jinx rocket was a greeting.
It was the party rocket there. well sidestep from Zamvete. It does mean that even though your team lost on the top side of the map, it doesn't mean you have to lose on the bot side as well. You lose yourself the Yuumi ultimate and the exhaust, but it doesn't lose you any kills, and it does mean that your mid lane, sorry, your bot lane out of turret, probably a bit more safe now.
Does, but we've got to see how it goes. The Mystic, oh no, Arcane
True
Barrage.
Shot Barrage.
True Shot Barrage. Arcane Shot. The Mystic Shot, Arcane Shift, True Shot Barrage. So many words for Mystic, so many words for hooks because the dredge line lands. Zamvete is depth charge up, and he'll go down to a rocket. This Yuumi is going to try and run away, but there's no flash, no hope. She wanders around in a circle, and it's another double kill. Ari is here, and she managed to pick up a trade kill.
Yeah, it does. Managed to get a lot of kills now.
Oh, good break, but actually, here comes the Justice Punch, and here comes the Camille. Two champions you've got to be on vision at all times is a Camille and a Zac, because they come from miles away.
So, at least Platypus is managing to clean up a lot of kills, and Ari with a lead is it's a very different kind of beast to an Ari that's even or behind. It's got them, you have to go for the Merc Treads this game, that's what Platypus has felt. I almost wonder if you go for the pen boots anyway and just say, look, I have to kill the Jinx. Even if I die for it, if I manage to get that extra couple, 20, 30, 40 damage you get from the pen, you get from the boost, and kill the Jinx, that might be the thing which turns the game. But he's looking more towards the 1v1 and the 2v2, the Galio and the Zac, just to get a bit more tenacity and, of course, the magic resist.
Okay, it's a decision point in the game, and it feels like maybe a minor one, but we'll see. Does Jinx survive because there isn't quite the damage? Does Ari survive because the CC doesn't last long enough? We'll have to see. Both decisions have merit.
Yeah.
We've heard the potential concerns. We've also got to be aware that the Ocean Soul Point, that third Drake, will be available for Vengeance in about 1:30, and they're going to think about setting up for that, you assume, within the next minute or so.
Sure. And it's also worth noting that Ari, when it comes to team fights, really doesn't offer the same as something like Syndra and Orianna. You're going to be crushing really on your Ezreal to be the big damage dealer consistently through the fights. Where it matters, though, is if Ari can put all of her damage, even though it might be lacking compared to some of those champions, onto someone important like the Jinx, onto the Camille, maybe. This Ezreal's going to get engaged onto it again.
He has earned his arcane... The shift was burned, but the heal is still there, and he's going to be just fine with the zoom.
Yeah, and actually some Mikhail's picked up from the Yuumi there. That's unfortunate.
You get turned around, but here's the final chapter. Justin Push round 2 is here. Let's bounce this through. And the final chapter doesn't leave anybody in place, but the ultimates are burned from the jungler and from the support, respectively. This Ezreal is so far behind as well. It's 2 items to an item and a bit.
And, well, yeah, there's 5 kills on the thing, so what that means is it's 2,500 gold lead for Azco99. Zamvete started off this series in game 1 with a pentakill in the late game, but it's been all too hard for him to try and match that performance in games 2 and 3 so far.
Yeah, we've seen the Spirit Rush come through, but that's into a depth charge, and she's had to Spirit Rush straight back out again. Bauer's over the wall. Lost and Broken is 2, though, but only one's on vision. Platypus still had that last rush available. Bauer's gone over. He's going on to that backline. Azco, who's in so much trouble, goes down. That's a 900 shutdown, and there is still the chrono break. That's going to be another kill. This is a massive turnaround now for Inca and Tern. They're going to keep going on the Sheriff of Nottingham falls again. Teleport coming in, but that's just
that is a late teleport right there.
But he was there. It was a belly boss teleport. He was standing in lane.
He was trying to save the Galio with the drops there.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just like, if you're going to do that, you have to do that much earlier. It does mean that Zac dies in passive anyway.
Yeah, I apologize there to Lost and Broken. I hadn't quite realized Zac was in passive. With the rest of the chaos going on, that was a nice idea. It didn't work out.
It was a series of basically 2 opportunistic plays. One was, oh, Ari thinks she's got to pick onto this Jinx. Doesn't have vision of the rest of the team. The Herald was there anyway. The ultimate is burned. Then Zac goes, oh, Ari doesn't have ultimate. Jumps in, overcommits. That's the Yuumi caught there, actually.
She's going to be in trouble. She's been Hextech Ultimatum as well. That's a nice clean pick. It's a 2 versus 3 though. They have overstayed. Lost and Broken's in trouble. Creon King flashes out and still dies. Lost and Broken doesn't even bother and is dead as well.
Yeah, he is, and that is once again an overcommittal. After you get the Yuumi, you just got to get the heck out of dodge there. Does mean that 2 kills go down, as well as the Ocean Drake. And now, from what I thought was a very vengeance-sided game, it's very even now.
It is.
Particularly with the Void Staff picked up from Ari. Went for the Merc Treads, and that means you have to get your pen from somewhere else. Went for an early Void Staff, means you will be cutting through the Adaptive Helm and the Spirit Visage that much more.
And we saw some pen boots and a Hextech revolver in for Echo as well. He's edging closer to that third item proto belt as well. He's very strong with the Lich Bane. Like between the Ari and the Echo, maybe Ari will only be able to do half a HP bar sometimes the way she is. But fed as she is, along with the Echo, there is room to absolutely delete things.
Sure, there is, but Jinx, if left alone, still has 2 items. Is going towards the Curse's Shard, which will either be the Static Shiv or more likely the Rapid Fire Cannon. I can't help but wonder if that should have been a Phantom
Here we go again.
Zack's
Elastic
going
shot in, and that actually was...
Flash on misses.
Oh, it does miss. And Raging Platypus is now in place. Gets knocked around, gets shut down. But Bauer is here, but doesn't get the kill. He's going to Chrono Break back out because actually the Time Winder gets the kill. That was great work for Bauer.
Yeah, because Jinx didn't realize the timeline was there. Sticks around for the third block of the passive.
Mundo's coming around as well. He's pretty damn tanky. Zack's going back in, but this Ezreal is still alive. Creon King has gone in and misses the hook shot. The turnaround once again is the way of Inca turns. Hodgson is here, and while the Zack was stunning in the game too, Hodgson's Mundo goes pretty unkillable at this point.
And Jinx doesn't use the ultimate to get that quicker shutdown. Ends up even having to get excited on that kill. Dies to the return of the Time Winder, and again, it's another game much like last one, where if the Jinx dies, a lot of the consistent damage goes with it, particularly when your Camille is getting soloed by the Mundo on this other side of the fight.
Yeah, that was a little bit sad. Camille, great if she can get the drop on someone. She's not the tankiest person, so if Mundo gets to land a couple cleavers for free beforehand, that trade can suddenly look a little bit uglier.
Even with the completed Triforce, just wasn't able to, well, doesn't have the lifesteal yet to really regen early into the fights up until the Conqueror has procced. And the Ezreal was the guy who was untouched throughout most of the fight. I think Bauer had another great shutdown onto the Jinx there, managing to find his way onto the backline. The Ahri, a bit opportunistic, a bit trigger happy once again, but it did start off a fight which was in a good position for him anyway. Just knew that the fight had to happen at that point in time, and it was worth happening for his team. Just didn't end up getting the kills himself.
I don't know whether we've mentioned it before, but Samvetti just completed this Trinity Force. The Muramana transformation is in there. He's also gone for Sword Pen Boots as a Raging Platypus gets stunned, but that was a great chance to buffer his way out of trouble.
It was, but it is now the Spirit Rush down for the Ahri. Is at second rank with a lot of CDR. Echo's going to look for maybe something in the mid lane. Going to go towards Nautilus.
Nocturne is not here, but the Darkness is potentially coming down. Has to Chrono Break to save his health bar. But this is going to be a big trade. Hodgson taking a lot of, well, nothing, because Jinx doesn't have an Executioner's Calling as yet. And that means that Mundo can sustain through a lot of trouble.
I actually wonder if that longsword's going to go towards that, actually. So the depth charge traded for Chrono Break. The Chrono Break, we know, is a ridiculously low cooldown. It's not going to be the executions just after Jinx. It is going to be the completed Fire Cannon. In some ways, it does give you some extra safety because you know you can have that extra range to be safe with because of that increased range auto every time that passive text ticks 200 stacks.
What about going in there? Sheriff Thrun taken precipitously low.
Done. Yeah.
True Shot Barrage does exactly what it says on the tin, and the barrage ends the life of Nautilus there.
It does, yeah, the barrage strikes true. So, that is another kill over to the Ezreal, who's reached his point of power. You don't walk up to the Muramana Triforce Ezreal with a red bar. They do damage, do mad damage.
What do you think to Sword Pen Boots on that, by the way?
It's different, and of course, remember your W and your ultimate do a large amount.
I thought you've got a Uni on there who can add a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder if they should actually be Merc Treads, just because if you want to stay alive, I wonder the extra damage, particularly on the Ezreal, because you just have so much base damage in your kit anyway with those items you have. I wonder if those Silk Pens are kind of style over substance.
We shall find out. Merc Treads might have been the option. Creon King goes over the wall, but not in range for a Hextech ultimatum. That means that the Arcane Shift does get the Ezreal out of dodge. As Shiara has had a great game on the Zack, but has kind of struggled to find any serious engages over the last 5 minutes or so. And remember, Ocean Drake is going to spawn in about 15 seconds. And while there were some wards cleared out by Shiara, vision control was not gained.
No,
going in.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a big intro to Magman. Oh, that was so unfortunate. She's going to go down now, surely. The shield's big, but Asco gets the kill. Teleport's coming down.
No, Jinx has gone too far.
She has gone quite a long way, but there's a judgment punch there to try and save the life of the Jinx, who's still there. Has got heal coming up shortly. And actually, Ezreal is caught. This time, the Hextech cage is there. Jinx is going to go full down to Raging Platypus, though. He does find her in the backline, but there's already 2 kills down, and they're going to get a hook onto this. Raging Platypus, who's going to go down as well. You surely think Creon King gets that one. It is a 3-for-1. Jinx goes down, but I think you think it's
got-
3 kills.
oh, that's a very deep Camille.
It is a very deep Camille. Trying to ward off Bauer, perhaps, but she does manage to walk away. And get to take a quick breath. Ocean Drake will go the way of Vengeance this time around. They get this one, they put them up to Ocean Soul Point, and they clean a fight from them.
Absolutely, and now Ocean Soul Point forces the issue thing to turn. Ocean Drake is a very strong game-ending objective.
Lost
This
and
is
broken.
very tanky Galio. I'm not sure he wants that fight.
Yeah, and the Justice Punch there hit the wall on the return there, so no threat onto Bauer. But he is a little, he's still down a level. Remember, like, junglers at this stage in the game is only 138 CS. It's been a little bit more difficult with all the fights.
He's only one level behind the solo lanes. It's still a good position for a
It's not
jungler.
bad. It's not a bad space. But with him being 5, 3, and 4, you can understand how, like, he wants to get the kill. He's got his lip, he's got his proto belt. He's got that room
Well,
to
he
blow
does have a
people
lot
up.
of kills.
He does.
But doing it against, you know, an adaptive Helm Galio, who already has the W passive, and gives you magic resist.
Makes his life with targets a bit.
It's a little bit
difficult.
annoying.
Yeah, you don't want to do that one.
It's not just magic. It's not actually magic resist. It is magic damage reduction. So
Magic
it works.
damage
It works.
reduction.
It works differently.
Oh, dude, how
Yeah, I
does
think
that
it works
work?
male multiplicative rather than additively.
Okay.
Because you know how basically one MR gives you one effective. But yeah, whatever. It basically means that whatever you have outside of your MR, it does that again.
Yeah, it does some beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Big
the
damage
worst way
coming
of
from
playing
Sambetti
it.
though. This Ezreal does sting at this point, so
And
he's
he's building-
a potential
yeah.
carry option.
And he's building towards a Blade the Ruin King as well, probably, which is going to be very good against most of the team of Vengeance, because they will be quite high HP targets.
Oblivion Orb has come through for this Ari as well for that additional penetration on top of the Void Staff, so
I wonder
Jinx
if,
will be very dead if she gets hit.
Yeah, it's good damage versus the Jinx, that's the main thing.
Not bad versus the Galio as well, actually.
Well, no, it's pretty bad versus the Galio because the amount of MR.
Okay, so you cut through it fairly with the Void Staff.
No, with the Void Staff, but not the Oblivion Orb.
I just thought it was additional.
Nah,
Okay. I'm being told otherwise.
I think that if you go for a death cap here, it's
got
better
more
against
damage,
it's better against the Galio.
Fair enough. Cheaper option then.
It is cheaper and it gives you slightly more HP. I think that if you're going to get wild on day, that you're going to be close to death. I think you're probably going to die anyway.
So would you have rather seen the death cap here?
I would have liked to needlessly large rod maybe there instead, going
Okay.
towards the. But honestly at this point it's very close. The extra HP from the Oblivion Orb doesn't go amiss. There's plenty of healing targets as well because of the eventual. It's probably not going to be an early Ravenous Hydra into the Camille, so I guess there's less healing targets. But then with the potential Ocean Soul coming up, we might be due to that as well.
Yeah, indeed, that is definitely something. We've
Oh.
seen Shara go in and gets Charmed, but Bauer is now in a very difficult space. There's no way home apart from a good chrono break, maybe. The taunt's massive, though, and a shot down onto this Echo. Chompers have gone down. Shara's still in the backline. Incoming here is
Galio
intros. Galio is big, and Raging Platypus has to run for the hills. He can't be here anymore. Hodgson is healing, and we're going to see how much damage this Ezreal can do from a good
gets
flag
the
in the
charm!
backline. Because Raging Platypus has found a way back in, and Shiara is super deep with no damage to keep that Zac alive. It's down into the bloblets. Lost and Broken has gone in, but the only thing broken here is Zac. They're trying to put the pieces back together, but I don't think they can get out. That's a
Camille's
big
alive
taunt.
still.
Camille is alive, but I don't know whether they can get enough damage down. Creon King is going to try and find his way over the back, but Sambetti gets a double at the back of this because this fight has been horribly turned around. Inca Tern get a triple here.
So, I mean, the AD carry that survives the longest wins the team fight, it looks like. Once again, it's a dive onto the Jinx, this time from the Ahri once again. Coming through with huge amounts of damage. Getting, I think it was actually a blind charm into the brush. I can't remember if the blue trinket was there. But this might even lead to a Baron start from the side of Inca Tern. So, a massive turnaround in the big team fight in the late game.
They got Bauer, and then they just had to keep going, and they could not kill Hodgson. Sambetti stays alive, and a Raging Platypus with one of the better junglers.
It's pretty good, yeah. And for a while, I was very worried because actually the Galio was doing so much zoning work, but it wasn't like the Jinx was hitting the Ezreal, and with the Yuumi on top of him, he healed up to full throughout that fight once again.
Yeah, and Jinx was left alone in the backline, and Raging Platypus went, well, thank you very much. I throw a charm and a Q at you.
Just no vision on the flanks. No vision on the flanks. If you go too deep, you can't see opportunities like that. It did mean that the Jinx went down. Of course, no MR, no no shield like a Phantom Dancer or a Hex Transfer either. Turns out the Jinx was easy pickings.
She's still very strong, but so is, of course, this Ezreal, who's now going to play the Ruin King. So is, of course, this Ahri, who just completed the Morellonomicon. So no healing for that Jinx, or even if that Ocean Soul goes over, it's a little bit more sustain on that front. You know, maybe Camille can get something done on the side lane, but we're looking at a gold gap of about 1,000 gold here at 31 minutes. This is
it's very close.
anyone's game right now.
And we saw how much that Hodgson could tank up in that team fight as well.
Huge.
No, unless Camille is getting a lot of damage as well. Ooh,
Going in, can't find it, and now she's in trouble. Camille gets charmed as Hex Tech ultimated, but Bauer can't find his way out, but the shutdown now on Camille. Sheriff Thrum goes down, Platypus claims another soul, and this Kitsune is off to some serious damage numbers right now.
Absolutely, and this is again just Vengeance going into the jungle, no vision, not seeing the entirety of the enemy team, going in with a very brazen attitude, saying, look, we'll just take any fight that we get, and this might even cost them a chance at their Dragon Soul.
Azko's going to be in so much trouble. It's 2 hits to dead. Bauer deletes the AD carry.
No heal, no flash used, and it does mean that Jinx goes down.
We've got Chiara over the wall. There is a hope, a prayer, a Zac flyby for a potential steal. She's going to try and go for it now, but they're just holding it. Doesn't manage to find it, and actually just finds an Ari at the other end. And Chiara, oh Chiara, you're just fox food right now.
That was a bit of a freebie there. I appreciate the attempt of the steal, but of course, as your Dr. Wail on him as he was charging up the Elastic Slingshot, the Ariel is available, the Echo Ult is available. This could be a dive for an inhibitor. I think that they can't defend this.
And this game has turned on its head. It looked so Vengeance favored, but Inca are winning these mid to late game team fights. This Jinx cannot stay alive.
And this is the problem you don't build defensively on the one threat, really. You know, like, the Camille is doing well, but not doing well enough in the team fight. She doesn't survive long enough. She's kited out.
Here we go again. This might be the last fight. Ari's now in trouble. She's getting healed, though. Zoomies is huge. That was a good final chapter. She's so low, but it's a shutdown. That was just some burn, I think, from Leandris or something. God, that was no Leandris, so just a burn from something or the Creon King. Now going to try and find ways onto Hodgson. Hodgson is tanky. Jinx is low, but survives. They get a pick, and that might prevent the end of the game. They're still around. They're still thinking of pushing.
Yeah, but without the Ari, they don't have as much of the appeal potential for something like the Charm coming through. There's a Camille on here. This could be very, very dangerous.
Camille is going to try and find her way into the backline, but Bauer is finding his way onto Jinx. He gets the kill, though, but he goes down. It's a 1-for-1
Camille's gone too deep.
Creon went too deep because Bauer managed to zone away the Jinx. The party was split. And you know what happens when that happens. People fall down. Hodgson's here, but he cares little for 2 tanks wailing on him.
No, and
there's Yumi on top of him as well. Oh,
yeah.
My days.
Oh, and that's actually the Zac ult brought out free. And what I think is happening is Vengeance are just getting too split in their calls. They're looking very hard for the engaged plays, but they're forgetting that Jinx can't survive on her own. There are many people that can solo her out. She needs someone to body block, someone to peel for her. It's not happening in these teamfights right now, so Azko cannot survive.
From 7-2, 7-3, it's now 7-6 on this Jinx. She has struggled to stay alive 3-4 fights in a row. Whereas this Ezreal, who was having an absolute nightmare in lane, is 9, 4, and 11. We're looking at Ari at 8, 5, and 10. We're looking at an Echo at 8, 5, and 6. Like, these carries are so online, it is unfeasible.
Yeah, and they've got a Yumi to buff them up too, right? So it means that every time they're at threat of going down, they have the more dedicated peel.
Ezreal's got a
right
stopwatch as
Ezreal
well.
has a stopwatch building towards a GA, has the Yumi on top of him most of the time. It means that actually Sam Vet can have these monster team fight performances we saw out of him in game 1. It means that he's very much immune to a lot of the big damage and the big dive coming through because, you know, the other AD carry is being shut down before him.
All right, we've sung a lot of praises here for Inca Tern. We have got to remember that Vengeance are still on the precipice of Ocean Drake. Chiara has been caught as Flash, has used that bounce, is currently managing to walk fairly fast away. Elastic Slingshot is there, and is managed to run fairly fast. The 2-shot barrage misses. Azko 99 is here, and Bauer's going to have to walk away out of fear of the Jinx.
Will do indeed, and they are now camping in a brush. Let's see if anyone is going to walk up. They're not. And this means that Camille has had some free time in the top lane, but it's not close enough to a tower yet as that wave to really force any big plays. There is potential fight though.
Gonna see what it'll be. It will be a 4 versus 5 if Chiara goes in. Kyrian King wouldn't be there at the start, it would have to teleport. They call it off.
Also worth mentioning, this Galio is very much tank Galio. It was Protobelt into full tank, making use of that aftershock, being a secondary frontliner, but it does mean that dive potential and potential one-shot onto these squishy terries is much less because there isn't something like a Ludens or a Death Captain Galio.
And this Camille, which we know is something that can rule over a side lane, find towers, find advantages, hasn't really been playing that game. She's been looking for the hook shot into Hextech Cage, which I understand when you've got so much mobility. I do.
Well, and
that win condition hasn't really been played.
And there's the potential for a big play. There's potential for a big play. And if it does happen, please clip it for us. It'd be great to see some of these plays. Yet again, spam in the Discord, put them on your social media. It'd be nice to see. Those video clips going around for this game deciding game 3. It's very tense right now. Anything can happen. If the AD carry gets shut down early from either team, it could be lights out for the team.
Well, what could be lights out is the Baron that is spawning in just 10 seconds. We're looking at Inca Tern in position with summoners available on everybody. Chiara has not got flash, neither does Azco 99, and we've talked about how difficult this Jinx is finding it to survive, and survive she must if they want to win this. Bauer has been found, but I don't know whether Chiara can do much more than force Bauer back over the wall. Sheriff's already had to take a fair health bar trade here, because they just don't have vision control. Another True Shot Barrage comes down, and Azco takes a bit of a chunk. The redemption comes out, but the Baron, I think, has just been started. Charm lands onto Chiara, doesn't do as much onto that. There comes the Super Mega Death Rocket, but it's more of a zoning checking tool than it is any true threat. Can they find their way onto Baron? It's at half HP.
Oh, that's Camille. Camille teleporting in.
Chiara's in. He's found a fair amount of work. Bauer's had to use the Chrono Break, but now Chiara's in trouble. Passive has been popped, but that's a good hook. Now Bauer's in trouble. He's got no ult. He's going in. He's going to try and find something. Dead! That means no jungler alive. Chiara is going to potentially fall down as well. Sanvetti in trouble, but healed up by major margins because that is a Zoomies on top. Roston Brown goes in, but all he's finding is a Yuumi. He cannot find the kill because, of course, that Arcane Shift is a big tool, and another triple for this Ezreal, who can do no wrong. Finds another over the wall, and that is a quadra for Sanvete. It's not the penta, but it will have to do.
It's not the penta like in game 1, but this game has followed the same story ever since the mid game. This Jinx cannot survive the team fights, maybe due to play, maybe due to bad play and positioning, but largely due to the fantastic diving play of Inca Tern, who will take the series 2-1 and continue and get their first win on the board this split.
They will. It was close. It was contested. But I'm going to be right back after I move to a different chair.
Go do it. Go back to the camera. Nice. Cool. Right. So, we're doing things a little bit differently this week, as you can tell. You know, we have ourselves some cameras, and we'll actually be having ourselves some interviews as well. I believe at some point during this, we're going to wait for, I believe it is Bauer from the jungler of Inca Tern, who we'll be speaking to. A little bit of a catch-up on this series, going through each of the games. Of course, we had 3, so there's a lot to talk from. If you have yourselves any questions, please go spam one of the Discords somewhere, and hopefully Glenn will, well, one of the production will get to us. If you have any questions you sorely want answered, but it would be great to talk to them either way.
Well, there's definitely one thing we know we're going to be talking about, and that's going to be Rammus. Even if it was from the opposing team, we need to know what it was like when that was locked in. And we will eventually be talking to Bauer, I believe, when we get the chance.
Yes, we will do indeed. But, well, what a series that was. Really
back
and forth. And it's
really
great to see an even series, right? It gives you a chance to see more League of Legends, see some great plays out of all the players on the Rift as well. And it is unfortunate for Vengeance that they do fall 1-2, but they did play well. Of course, gave us one of the most memorable games I can remember from the Valence League in that Rammus win. But overall, you know, they were a very fun team to watch. They had a lot of big team fights. Their laning phase was very fun too. And that Zac actually
was really good.
Was very impressive.
You've got to be aware of that guy. I think going into the future, that Zac is really strong. We'll kind of have to ask a little bit for future teams what they can do against that Zac, because eventually it felt like they were going in too deep, and that was a problem. But serious credit to Inca Tern for surviving the engages, for the Raging Platypus on that RE finding some fabulous picks onto the backline. Bauer getting in onto the Echo. Sanvete staying alive and another quadra kill, a great game from him. But speaking of junglers and Echoes, let's get our boy Bauer into the waiting room.
Hello, Bauer. So, congratulations on the win, 2-1.
Around, but we do have Bauer here ready for an interview, and we have got to ask how it felt to come out of that series 2-1 ahead.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. I wasn't really feeling it at the start of the third game, but it was a bit of a rough start, and then we pulled it back. So yeah,
Yeah, and
uh,
yeah.
pretty
I'm
good.
yeah. So obviously, there's one pick we do have to talk about, and that is the mistaken lock-in of the Rammus in game two from Vengeance, which they actually somehow managed to pick up a win from. You know, that was pretty crazy. So, was that something you had any kind of response to in game? You thought, okay, do we have to change our game plan now that this weird pick has come in? How did the team respond to that, and how did it obviously feel kind of not quite getting that right in that game?
Yeah.
Um, I think we didn't really mind the Ramos pick. We just played into it, and
Yeah.
LeBlanc did really well into it. We just entered stuff around it, but I don't think the Ramos pick really mattered. Like, he didn't do very well. I don't think it made a difference. He could have played anything mid there, and it would have worked.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. You know, I definitely I think the mid lane largely went in favor of Platypus this
I
series, particularly
agree.
in that last game. It's really fun. But obviously, I think one of the more important picks that in this series was the Echo too. Sorry,
Yes, it
I'm
was.
answering a lot of questions, but I think the Echo was really good. So, what do you think of Echo in the current meta, and particularly for you as well? What makes him a strong champion that you really want to pick up?
Um, I think a lot of people dropped him after he got nerfed. His jungle clear certainly is a lot slower. I really like playing him because he has, like, as you could see in that game, he has the one shot potential, and
Yeah.
then he always has like the escape card in the ultimate, which is really good because you can just make really cocky plays and get away with it.
The Valence League special.
Yeah, especially with the proto belt and the E, you have so much mobility that you can still reach the backline despite not having like a huge range dash.
That's really good stuff. And I've got to kind of also ask a bit of another question on the sort of the front in terms of you came out game one with a pretty strong victory, Samvete, with that pentakill on the Kaiser. But obviously the game two went a little bit awry. Shiara on the Zac was really terrifying. But what were the changes you made coming out of that game two, having, that Ramos pick in a bit of a ridiculous fashion and still going down with it? Like, what were the changes you made going into game three? What were the comms like saying, okay, what do we need to change to come out with the victory in that last game?
I mean, we were all a bit tilted, like,
I can see
moving
that.
to a
I can
random
see
mid.
that.
So he just said, boys, mental reset, everyone take a break. Mid lane, go have a smoke. Top lane, go have I don't know, have a break. And then just go back to it with a fresh mindset and play like we did game one. And that's what we did. We had to adapt to like the Jinx hyper funnel with 20 tanks in front of her.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we just dive the back line with the Ahri and the Echo, and then it works.
Yes. I mean, definitely much more practiced on that in the third game. We saw what Raging Platypus could do with a charm on that Jinx. For a follow-up question then, because you were saying actually you came out of that second game a little bit tilted. Did you guys reset okay? Was it coming into that third game? I know you said you weren't
Yeah, you
feeling
said
at the
you weren't
beginning of that
feeling it.
third game.
It
Was
took
that
a
kind
bit.
of part of that?
It took a bit. For some people, it took a bit longer. Like for me, but
Mhm.
like halfway through, we were feeling it. So yeah, from
Yeah,
that point,
you were
it just
styling on
worked.
him. And
Yeah.
yeah, so speaking of your teammates and stuff like that, how's it been playing for the team? Obviously this is your first match, this split, but how's it been with this group of players? Anything in particular you've really enjoyed? Anything which has been difficult to work through?
I think I've been on Inca for a bit over a month now. We've practiced a lot. It's a really fun roster to play with.
Cool.
I think probably the most fun roster I've been on. The bot lane is very focal, not necessarily like productive, but it's quite fun to play on. And then we've got Hodgson in the top lane who doesn't say a lot. He just plays top lane, and
He
then
plays Mundo and does
Yeah.
Mundo
yeah,
things.
Does unspeakable
he
things.
plays Mondo, and then you'll see him in the side lane so often. You're like, you're inting, and then he 1v4s, and you're like, well, I guess that works.
And speaking of noisy bot lanes, what were the comms like after Sanverde went down to first blood in that kind of slightly ridiculous fashion in that last game as well?
That looks like
I think someone was shouting he was inting. I think it was Nice, but that's not
but
very.
no
That's not
proof of that.
very.
Obviously,
Rude.
you wouldn't say your teammates were renting, right?
No,
You'd
no,
never do that.
no.
No, of course not.
Okay.
There we
Anyway, so
go.
yeah. I guess it's only right to say if you have any closing thoughts, any thoughts and words for people watching the stream, have the floor.
Big shout out to our coach, Powerfruit. He joined the team, I think, 1 week ago. Like, he's barely been on it, but he's been doing a lot of good work. And it's certainly a huge part of why we won this game. I wasn't sure about the Echo pick, but he was, and he said, well, you're going to do well on that. And I did, so shout
Yeah,
out to
you absolutely did.
Powerfruit.
Yeah. Okay, well, lovely to hear about the support staff coming in as well. You got any last questions to ask, Sam, or are you?
I
You
think
good?
we're pretty good. Thank you so much for joining us, Bauer. It's been a pleasure. Congrats again on the wing. I'm hoping to see more of your Echo, yet your coach had it right, apparently.
Okay, so thank you very much, Bauer, and hopefully we'll see you again in the interview booth at some point. Cheers for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
We've got a little bit more time. Sloppy. There were some rough moments, but we saw some serious style as well. Like, I do want to come back to Sam Vete, actually. 2 games in a row where those late game fights were really clutch with the mobility and the positioning.
yeah, for sure. I think that the Kaiser, they look very practiced on as a dive combo. I think in game 1, that's something which I think maybe you have to like permaban that because they played so very well around it. The Ezreal didn't quite fill that same role, but it was mobile enough for him to peel with the Yuumi and just be the better AD carry in game 3, just in terms of situation. Of course, the situation helps. One team has a Yuumi, one team has a Yuumi with a mobility AD carry, the other one has a Jinx while she has damage. Doesn't necessarily have the self peel advantage, but in those late game fights, it showed up so big in that game 3.
I suppose last thoughts ought to be towards Vengeance then, who did fall down in this series. They did get that second game kind of through slight amazing play from their jungle, and also against the odds with that Rammus pick. So some good stuff there. We saw some good stuff from the bot lane as well. Asker99 did some wonderful stuff. But what do they need to be doing to really picking up the wins?
I think that they need to work a little bit on a bit of team cohesion because I think overall the lanes have been doing very well. We've seen the 2v2 go the way of Azko and Sheriff a couple of times as well. And I think that Shiora, Zac, and a lot of his presence on the Zac was absolutely huge. And of course, Crown King had some great games on the Aatrox as well, and that Camille was also no slouch. They have the individual pieces to make this work. And of course, I have to call out Lost and Broken as well. I mean, not everyone can pull off Rammus mid as much as they think, oh, you can play anything in that position. At least not tilting out of your ass and then kind
It's
of recovering
important.
that game.
It's
It is
important.
important. So all 5 of these players have the pieces to make this work. So for me, it's about the cohesion. Go back to the drawing board if you have to, get yourself some comps that you're more comfortable playing around, and come back next week stronger.
Yeah, and you could see everyone dive in, follow the Zac, and leave the Jinx behind, and that left the Jinx in a bit of trouble. But for now, that'll be it from me and Nymera here on the Valence League Stream 1. Team Inca Tern win the series 2-1 over Vengeance, and we'll see you next week.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend.